Chapter 1. The protagonist rarely appears, and the plot is seriously changed the border area of the Fire Nation. With a flash of white light, an ancient building suddenly appeared. In front of the building stand two stone pillars with words engraved on both sides. On the left side of the stone pillar is written, Omniscience and Omnipotence. On the right side of the stone pillar is written, Everything you need. There is a plaque above the two stone pillars, which reads, As long as you have money, it's okay indoor. Xiao looked at the things on the glass shelves around him with a confused look on his face. What is the system doing to him? He hurriedly walked out of the house and looked at the dense woods around him with a dark face. There's no village in front and no shop behind. Who would come here to buy things? Xiao said speechlessly. Host, please be patient. Although my positioning is wrong, good wine needs no bush. Xiao's mouth twitched. It turned out that the system positioning was wrong, so the store was located in this remote place. I wish host will open soon. How can I open a business in such a shabby place? Xiao said angrily. Xiao is a time traveler. After his death in his previous life, he appeared in a dark space. I don't know how long it took, but Xiao was almost mentally collapsed in this environment. Suddenly, a voice came to his ear, Are you willing to be the manager of the Wanja store and go to the other world to sell things? This made Xiao very excited. He could finally get away from this damn place, so he agreed immediately. Host, please understand the placement of goods in the store as soon as possible, said the system. Upon hearing this, Xiao walked to the glass counter nearest to him and looked at the goods inside with curiosity. There was a silver-white pistol on the counter. Oh, it's a Desert Eagle. He looked at the label under the counter. Only 100,000 taels. He looked at the assault rifle next to him, which was a little more expensive, 1 million taels. This row of weapons are all hot weapons. Ling Yun took a look and found that the cheapest one is the grenade, which only costs 100,000 taels each. He looked at another row of display cabinets. There were not many things on them, but Xiao was completely dumbfounded. System, tell me what the hell is this? Xiao pointed at an item on the counter and said in disbelief. On the counter was a magic wand that was about the length of a palm and had golden and transparent marble patterns all over it. That's right, it's the magic wand. How the hell is there a magic wand? Xiao exclaimed. He explained why the aura stick disappeared after Daigo defeated Gatenja, and it turned out that it came here. He subconsciously looked at the price and said, Well, it's reasonable. The price is very fair, only 30 million taels. This magic wand can only transform 3 times, after which it will turn into stone and need to be rain-fused with light. Injecting light once can transform 3 times. The price is 30 million taels. Xiao opened his mouth in shock. Is this a consumable? Wow, if you calculate it this way, it will cost 10 million to transform once, and you can only transform for 3 minutes. Well, actually the price is not that fair. Xiao said embarrassedly. He turned his gaze to the merchandise at the back and discovered a pile of silver-white suitcases on the shelf at the back. He walked to a box curiously and opened it. The box slowly opened, revealing a red metal watch. FK, Flame Dragon. Xiao said as he opened the next few boxes. Sure enough, it was an armor hero. He looked at the densely packed suitcases in the back and asked, How many sets of armor do these require? He took a look at the price, which was also 30 million taels. Xiao asked curiously, System, is this summoner also a consumable? Not a consumable item. Xiao was a little surprised. Could it be that the system had a change of heart? There is no limit on the number of transformations, isn't this a huge loss? But the system's next words let Xiao know that the system is still the same system. Host, this is only the price of the summoner itself, but the 5 elements crystals and skill cards required for transformation are another price, and the summoner also needs regular maintenance. Xiao gave a thumbs up, Good fellow, you could have just robbed him of his money, but you still gave him something. Host gets a commission every time he sells something. Oh, actually it doesn't matter whether it's money or not, I just like selling things. Xiao said with a sly grin. Host, I understand, I understand. The Fire Nation border. Several people wearing animal masks were walking through the woods. The third Hokage has ordered that the traitor Orochimaru be brought back to the village immediately. Orochimaru is so cruel as to use his fellow villagers for human experiments. This is truly unforgivable. This is already the border of the fire country. That guy may have already left the fire country. Keep looking around, and if you can't find it, return to the village and report. Yes. Captain. Several Anbu immediately dispersed. A few minutes later, they turned back. How's it going? Did you find it? Orochimaru is nowhere to be seen in the east. There's nothing unusual in the south. Neither was found in the north. Damn it. As expected of a Sunin, he can run so fast even when injured. The leading Anbu whispered, in this case, we can only go back and report. Receive. With that, several Anbu quickly left. Not long after they left, a pale-skinned, long-haired man staggered out from behind a tree. It was a close call, we were almost discovered. Orochimaru said lightly. Fortunately, we were not discovered, otherwise several more people would have died. After he was discovered doing human experiments in the village, the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen personally led people to capture him, but facing his former beloved disciple, the third Hokage did not have the heart to do it, and eventually Orochimaru successfully defected from the village. Originally, after leaving the village, no one could stop him unless something unexpected happened. But an accident happened. The third Hokage actually kept a snake with an explosive tag in its mouth next to Orochimaru. The snake suddenly exploded, which tricked Orochimaru. You know what, that snake almost left Orochimaru behind, but fortunately, Orochimaru managed to shake off all the pursuers in the end. No one can stop me from searching for eternal life, not even my mentor. Orochimaru glanced in the direction of Konoha, and finally turned and left. Since Orochimaru was seriously injured and there were no pursuers behind him, he slowed down and thought in his mind how to achieve immortality. As he was walking, a building suddenly appeared in front of Orochimaru. There was a stone gate in front of the building. He looked at it curiously. There were words engraved on both sides of the stone gate. Omniscient and omnipotent, having everything, kind of interesting. Orochimaru muttered. Then he limped towards the building. Chapter 2. FK, there is actually a method to cultivate immortality. Xiao exclaimed, this system is really awesome. Keep a low profile, keep a low profile. As long as you have money, I will get you Pangu's blood. Tap, tap, tap. There was a sound of footsteps coming from the door. Xiao subconsciously turned his head and saw a pale man walking into the store. There are actually people coming to a place like this. Xiao muttered. As he spoke, Xiao walked to the door and said with a smile, guest, what would you like to buy? Orochimaru looked at the young man in front of him. He looked to be only 17 or 18 years old, but the slogan outside the store was so arrogant. Is it true that you are omniscient and omnipotent and have everything? Orochimaru said in a hoarse voice, his vertical pupils staring at Xiao. If the other party dares to engage in false advertising, Orochimaru doesn't mind letting them know the consequences of deceiving themselves. Xiao was stunned at first, then he remembered that it was the slogan on the stone gate. Just as he was about to explain, the system suddenly spoke, host, as long as the money is in place, this system can do anything. Xiao swallowed the words on his lips and said with a smile, of course, as long as you have money, you can do anything. Xiao suddenly felt that the person in front of him looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him. Only when Xiao saw the forehead protector on Orochimaru's forehead did he remember him. Holy shit, is this Orochimaru? It turned out that he had traveled to the Hokage world. He looked at the goods in the store and wondered what these goods could bring to the ninja world. After all, any product here would cause a stir in the ninja world. With hot weapons, even civilians can fight against ninjas, not to mention other commodities. After all, the flying speed and distance of a bullet are much greater than that of a shuriken. If Uchiha Madara were to be resurrected and come back to see this kind of ninja world, he would be absolutely shocked. Thinking of this, Xiao couldn't help but laugh. Orochimaru was stunned when he saw Xiao's expression. Why was he laughing for no reason? Did I fall into a trap? Yes, that's absolutely true. He wondered how anyone could open a shop in such a remote place. This was definitely a trap set by Konoha. I didn't expect that I would fall into it. He looked around warily, but saw no trace of Anbu. He was a little confused. Was he worrying too much? If the host detects that the other party is seriously injured, the host can recommend treatment drugs to him. Xiao came back to his senses, looked at Orochimaru, and found that the other party was indeed seriously injured. "You are injured. Do you need any medical treatment?" As he said that, he walked to a counter. Orochimaru made sure there was no danger around before following Young Xiao to the counter. Young Xiao took out an exquisite little box from inside. Orochimaru was a little excited. Could it be that there was some kind of healing elixir in it? The box slowly opened and a green bean was seen inside. Orochimaru was stunned for a moment. "Boss, if I'm not mistaken, this is a bean." Young Xiao smiled and said, "These are not ordinary beans, they are fairy beans. This is the senzu bean from Dragon Ball. No matter how serious the injury is, you can immediately recover from the injury and physical strength by eating it. I didn't expect the system price to be only 500,000 taels. It's really a conscience price." Orochimaru looked at it for a long time, and his mouth twitched. He felt that he had been fooled. It was just an ordinary bean. Seeing that Orochimaru didn't believe him, Young Xiao smiled and said, "You'll know if it works after you eat it. If it doesn't work, I won't charge you. But let me make a deal, one senzu bean costs 500,000 taels." Orochimaru was a little shocked, he didn't expect a bean to be so expensive. However, he put the senzu beans into his mouth without hesitation. As one of the Sunin, he could still afford this amount of money. Curse! Orochimaru's mouth twitched, the taste was clearly that of ordinary beans. He decided to teach this kid who had played tricks on him time and time again a lesson. But when he swallowed the beans, he was stunned, because after eating the beans, the injuries on his body were restored to their original state in just a few breaths, and his chakra, which had been at its lowest point, also recovered to its peak. Orochimaru's breathing became a little rapid, he had not expected the senzu beans to be so heaven-defying. This is much better than Tsunade's medical ninjutsu. He couldn't imagine that when both sides were seriously injured, one of them would eat a magic bean and instantly recover to its peak condition, which would definitely turn the tide of the battle. Orochimaru looked at Young Xiao with fiery eyes, and asked excitedly, "Boss, do you still have these senzu beans?" Young Xiao expected that Orochimaru would not be able to restrain himself after knowing the magical effect of senzu beans. "As long as the money is in place, there will be enough," Young Xiao promised, patting his chest. Orochimaru immediately took out a scroll and opened it. When the smoke cleared, a pile of money appeared on the ground. "Boss, this is 10 million taels, and I want another 49 senzu beans," Orochimaru said anxiously. "Don't be so anxious. I'll take you to see other products. What if you like one?" Young Xiao said. Orochimaru then came to his senses. Any medicine the other party took out was top-notch, so what about the other things? Orochimaru looked at the densely packed glass display cases around him, his eyes filled with heat. In his eyes, everything in this cabinet is a treasure. "Please be sure to show me around, boss," Orochimaru said sincerely. "Okay, okay." Young Xiao took Orochimaru to the hot weapons area. Young Xiao felt that Orochimaru, as one of the few Hokage ninjas who advocated science, would definitely be interested in thermal weapons. Young Xiao smiled and said, "How many meters can the shuriken you threw fly in 1 second?" Orochimaru didn't expect Young Xiao to suddenly ask him this question. The speed of the shuriken is related to the strength of the ninja himself. "The shuriken I throw can fly about 150 meters in 1 second. Young Xiao was a little surprised. He didn't expect that Orochimaru really knew it. He was indeed a scientist in the ninja world. Young Xiao then took out the Desert Eagle from the counter, loaded the magazine, and then loaded it. Orochimaru looked at the pistol in Young Xiao's hand curiously, wondering what it was. "Do you know the firing rate of this gun?" Young Xiao asked. Orochimaru subconsciously shook his head. He had never seen such a thing before, so how could he know its firing rate? "Come with me," Young Xiao said and walked outside. Orochimaru followed immediately. Just in time. Young Xiao saw a rabbit jumping not far away, which was just within the range of the Desert Eagle. The gun has a firing rate of 400 meters per second. Orochimaru looked at the pistol in Young Xiao's hand with some surprise. He didn't expect that the firing rate of this piece of iron was so fast. But how should this be used? It shouldn't be thrown like a shuriken, right? Bang! Young Xiao suddenly pulled the trigger, and before Orochimaru could react, the rabbit not far away suddenly exploded. Orochimaru's eyes widened in horror when he saw the rabbit's miserable condition. He only saw a sudden flash of fire from the muzzle, and then the rabbit exploded like a watermelon. Chapter 3. Xiao put the safety on the gun and looked at Orochimaru with a smile. How about it? This gun is pretty powerful, right? Orochimaru looked at the gun in Xiao's hand and swallowed subconsciously. This is more than just good, it's a top-notch weapon. He didn't even see what flew out of the pistol before the rabbit suddenly exploded. That's right, it exploded suddenly and broke into dozens of pieces in an instant. The more Orochimaru thought about it, the more scared he became. He thought Xiao had pointed a gun at his head. Then his head would definitely explode like a watermelon. After all, although ninjas can mobilize chakra and their physical fitness has been enhanced to a certain extent, they are not strong enough to withstand bullets. Moreover, this gun is not only fast, but also powerful. The shuriken he threw could only kill the rabbit instantly, but could not make it explode instantly. Orochimaru looked at the gun in Xiao's hand in shock. What a terrifying destructive power it had. Orochimaru felt that even if the god of ninja, Senju Hashirama, came, getting hit in the head would be a sure death. This gun is simply a magical weapon. It is fast and powerful. It is the perfect choice for killing and robbing. Excuse me, boss, how much does this gun cost? Orochimaru asked cautiously. He subconsciously reached for his ninja tool bag, wondering if his savings were enough. Xiao smiled and said, this gun is called Desert Eagle, and it only costs 100,000 taels. What? 100,000 ryo? Orochimaru shouted. It's not that he thinks it's too expensive, but that he thinks it's too cheap. He originally thought that this kind of weapon would cost several million taels, but he didn't expect it to cost only 100,000 taels. Boss, I want this gun. Orochimaru said anxiously. No problem, I'll take you to see the other weapons. Xiao said as he took Orochimaru into the house. Xiao took out an assault rifle from the next room and explained, this is an assault rifle. It can fire continuously at a rate of 700 meters per second and has an effective range of 400 meters. This means it can hit anything within 400 meters. Orochimaru looked at the assault rifle in Xiao's hand with a fiery gaze. He now understood that everything in this store was top-notch merchandise that was rare in the world. As long as your wallet was fat enough, you could buy everything you wanted. Boss, how much is this assault rifle? Orochimaru asked. No cheating, 1 million taels. Xiao said. I bought it. Orochimaru said excitedly. Xiao handed the assault rifle and Desert Eagle to Orochimaru and enthusiastically taught him how to use them. After all, Orochimaru is a big customer and must be treated well. After Orochimaru knew how to use the gun correctly, he couldn't wait to go outside. Soon, gunshots were heard outside. Xiao stood outside the door and looked in curiously, but he didn't expect that Orochimaru would get the hang of it so quickly. After firing dozens of rounds, Orochimaru found the feeling of shooting. After that, every time Orochimaru pulled the trigger, a bird fell from the sky. As expected of a ninja scientist, he has such a fast learning ability. Xiao said with emotion. If you ask why Xiao dared to stand at the door, wasn't he afraid that Orochimaru would accidentally fire and hit him? Of course Xiao was afraid, so he just stood at the door and didn't walk out. Because the conscience system is afraid that someone wants to kill and rob, and for his own safety. As long as he stays in the store, he is invincible and immune to all damage, and can be triggered when attacked. Therefore, when he recognized the other person as Orochimaru, he did not feel scared, but actively introduced the product. Outdoors. Orochimaru looked at the assault rifle in his hand, his hands shaking with excitement. I didn't expect what the boss said was true. This really hits wherever you point. Orochimaru murmured. This gun is different from shuriken. Shuriken requires years of practice, but with the gun, he only practiced for a short while and was able to hit whatever he pointed at within 200 meters. He returned to the store only after Orochimaru had used up all the bullets in his gun. Boss, I want to buy 10,000 bullets. Orochimaru said, and opened another scroll, which contained 1 million taels. A bullet costs 100 taels, and you can buy just 10,000 bullets here. Xiao walked up to the pile of money, and in front of Orochimaru's shocked gaze, Xiao just waved his hand, and the pile of money suddenly disappeared. This is of course done by the system. When Xiao saw his commission, the corner of his mouth twitched. Isn't this system too cruel? He was only given a commission of 1%, so he only got 10,000 taels out of the 1 million taels. But Yung Xiao's actions just now made him like an immortal in Orochimaru's eyes. Yung Xiao took out 10,000 rounds of bullets, put them in a storage box, and handed them to Orochimaru. Is there anything else you want? Yung Xiao asked expectantly. Orochimaru is a scientist, and each of his research projects costs him tens or even hundreds of millions. Therefore, Yung Xiao concluded that Orochimaru definitely still had money. When Orochimaru heard Yung Xiao's words, he suddenly lowered his head in silence. Yung Xiao was a little curious. What happened to Orochimaru? Wasn't he fine just now? After a long while, Orochimaru raised his head, his eyes flashing with a complex light, like a mixture of hope and despair. Boss, I want to ask you a question. Please forgive my rudeness if it offends you. Orochimaru whispered with a hint of nervousness in his voice. Please ask. Yung Xiao said with a smile. Orochimaru took a deep breath, then slowly asked, Boss, do you have anything here that can make people immortal? Yung Xiao was slightly startled, he didn't expect Orochimaru to ask such a question. But Yung Xiao quickly remembered that in the original work, Orochimaru seemed to have always been pursuing immortality. Eventually, he invented the living corpse reincarnation and changed his name from Uncle Snake to Ant Snake. Yung Xiao's wandering mind was silence in Orochimaru's eyes. Orochimaru's eyes flashed with disappointment. Even the boss, you don't have something that can make me immortal. This made Orochimaru begin to doubt his life. Is it true that eternal life does not exist? Yung Xiao came back to his senses after hearing what Orochimaru said. He smiled and said, I've said before that I have everything here, including eternal life. Orochimaru widened his eyes in disbelief. He never expected that Yung Xiao really had a product that could give people eternal life. Orochimaru said excitedly, Boss, please sell it to me, I am willing to pay any price. Yun Xiao smiled and waved his hands, no need, as long as I have money, I'll make it clear first, eternal life is a very expensive thing. As he spoke, Yung Xiao walked towards a glass counter in the distance. Orochimaru didn't listen to anything Yung Xiao said next. His mind is now filled with eternal life, eternal life. I didn't expect that the boss really has a method for eternal life. Chapter 4. Yung Xiao pulled out a pornographic book from the counter and handed it to Orochimaru. Take a look at this one. If you don't like it, I can help you change it. Orochimaru carefully took the book. On the yellow cover were 3 large, simple characters, The Secret of Immortality. As he looked at the title of the book, his heart beat faster and his breathing became rapid. The Secret of Immortality. Orochimaru whispered softly, as if he saw the path to immortality that he had always dreamed of. His hands were shaking with excitement as he stroked the book gently as if it were the most precious treasure in the world. Boss, how much does this book cost? Orochimaru's voice was filled with uncontrollable excitement. Yun Xiao glanced at the price and said, This is just an entry-level technique, it only costs 15 million taels. Orochimaru breathed a sigh of relief, secretly thanking himself that he could afford it. But then, Orochimaru couldn't help but ask, is there a higher level of skills? He couldn't believe it. This Secret of Immortality was already awesome enough, but he didn't expect there was an even more awesome technique than it. Of course, this is just an entry-level technique, and it doesn't even have a grade. The grades of techniques are divided according to the heaven, earth, and the highest grade is the heavenly grade technique. Yung Xiao explained. Orochimaru's eyes were full of longing, and he decided to buy these skills even if he had to sell everything he had. Yung Xiao saw what Orochimaru was thinking and gave him a serious exhortation, when cultivating, you must not aim too high, because haste makes waste. Only by keeping your feet on the ground and taking one step at a time can you embark on the path to immortality and ultimately achieve eternal life. Orochimaru was shocked when he heard this, and quickly calmed down and asked humbly, Thank you for your advice, boss. I will keep it in mind. I wonder what the difference is between the different levels of the skills. Yun Xiao smiled slightly and answered patiently, the power and effects of different levels of skills are naturally different. Heaven-level skills are the most powerful, and practitioners can comprehend the profound truth of the immortal way from them. Earth-level skills are second best, but they also contain huge potential. Xian-level skills come next, while Huang-level skills are the most basic. However, no matter what level of martial arts, as long as it is practiced properly, great achievements can be achieved. The key lies in the practitioner's own efforts and understanding. Orochimaru listened fascinatedly, with a determined light in his eyes. He knew that his goal was to achieve immortality. He has already made up his mind to practice hard after returning and strive to achieve eternal life as soon as possible. Thank you, boss, for clearing up my confusion. Orochimaru said gratefully. Yun Xiao took out another book from the cabinet. It's not enough to practice on your own, you also need the help of elixirs. After saying that, he handed the book in his hand to Orochimaru. Orochimaru took the book curiously and looked at it carefully. He saw 4 big words written on the book, Compendium of Pills. Boss, what is this? Orochimaru asked puzzledly, his face full of curiosity. This is a secret book that teaches you how to refine pills. It contains detailed records of the formulas and refining methods of various pills. Different elixirs have different effects, such as the longevity elixir that can prolong life, the strength pill that can enhance physical strength, and so on. These pills are of great help in improving strength and cultivation speed. Yun Xiao explained patiently. He knew Orochimaru would definitely be interested. As expected, Orochimaru asked excitedly, Boss, how much is it? I want it. This book of elixirs is very comprehensive, and lists almost all the elixir refining methods in the world of immortal cultivation. Yun Xiao raised 4 fingers, so it's quite expensive, 40 million taels. Orochimaru didn't hesitate, I'll buy it. As he said that, he took out a few scrolls and handed them to Yung Xiao. Yung Xiao was also stunned. He knew Orochimaru was rich, but he didn't expect him to be so rich. In total, more than 60 million taels were spent. Yung Xiao took the scroll and after checking the system to see if there was any problem, he took it away. That's great. Yung Xiao said with a smile. Orochimaru had been watching Yung Xiao's movements, but still couldn't figure out how the scroll disappeared. He licked his lips and asked curiously, Boss, how did you make the scroll disappear instantly? Yung Xiao didn't know how to explain it. He couldn't say it was the system's fault, right? Just when he didn't know how to explain, Yun Xiao suddenly thought of something, and his eyes lit up. This is a storage ring, do you want to buy it? As he spoke, Yung Xiao walked to a counter in the distance and took out a ring. Orochimaru looked at the quaint ring in Yung Xiao's hand with curiosity. This is a storage ring. It has 20 cubic meters of space inside. It can store anything except living things. It is much better than a storage scroll. Yung Xiao explained. Orochimaru nodded in agreement. Boss, how much? Yung Xiao looked at the price and was dumbfounded. FK, it's so expensive. He looked at the long string of zeros on the label, rubbed his eyes, and counted them several times. Well, it's a bit expensive, 300 million taels. Yung Xiao said embarrassedly. When Orochimaru heard the price, his mouth dropped open in shock. Haha. Actually, the storage scroll is pretty useful. Let's not talk about this. It's useless if you buy the recipe but don't have the furnace and herbs to refine it. Yung Xiao said. Orochimaru was stunned. Yes, how could he refine pills without the things and materials to refine them? Yun Xiao took out an alchemy furnace and placed it on the counter. This is a basic alchemy furnace. You are a beginner and you can't make advanced elixirs in a short time. This one is enough. I will sell it to you for 8 million taels. Orochimaru was not as quick to pay this time as before. Previously, one scroll contained 10 million taels, but now he had to find several scrolls before he could come up with 8 million taels. Tell me what kind of elixir you want to refine and I will help you get the materials. Yung Xiao said. Orochimaru nodded and opened the compendium of pills. Originally, he wanted to buy all the basic medicinal materials, but due to limited funds, he finally only chose the longevity pill and the strength pill. These are the ingredients for the longevity pill, 2 million taels. This is the pill for the powerful pill, 1 million taels. Yung Xiao handed the 2 materials to Orochimaru. Orochimaru hadn't expected the pill to be so cheap, so he took out a few scrolls and handed them to Yung Xiao. Boss, give me 3 more senzu beans. Orochimaru flipped through the scroll for a long time and finally took out 1.5 million taels. Yung Xiao turned around, took out 2 senzu beans, put them in a cloth bag and handed them to Orochimaru. Dude, you didn't pay for the senzu beans you ate before, so I'll only give you 2. You spent so much in our store, I really want to waive the money for the magic bean for you, but unfortunately our store is a small business and I can't give you a discount. Yun Xiao said with great sorrow. Orochimaru's mouth twitched. All his property worth more than 70 million taels was handed over here, and you still told me that it was a small business. Chapter 5. Orochimaru took the cloth bag from Young Xiao and carefully put it around his waist. Young Xiao automatically ignored Orochimaru's speechless expression. He smiled and said, "Brother, what's your name?" "Boss, my name is Orochimaru." "My name is Young Xiao." Young Xiao stretched out his hand. Orochimaru didn't expect that such a mysterious boss would be willing to take the initiative to shake hands with him. He was delighted and quickly reached out his hand to hold Yun Xiao's hand tightly, saying excitedly, "Boss Yun, nice to meet you, nice to meet you." Orochimaru was ecstatic. He never thought that he could meet such a person. It was really a great honor for him. After they let go of each other's hands, Young Xiao rubbed his hands together and asked enthusiastically, "Orochimaru, is there anything else you need?" After hearing Young Xiao's words, Orochimaru showed an awkward smile on his face. He shook his head, indicating that he did not need any other items. It wasn't that he didn't want to buy more things, it was that his wallet was empty. The more than 70 million taels were all his property, and now he was penniless. Although he was very eager for the items in Young Xiao, the reality prevented him from continuing to buy. Young Xiao saw Orochimaru's embarrassment, he smiled and patted Orochimaru's shoulder, and said earnestly, "Orochimaru, perhaps in your previous worldview, only strength is the most important. But for me, money is omnipotent. As long as you have enough funds, I can help you get whatever you need." Hearing this, Orochimaru felt a strong desire to make money. There was a gleam in his eyes, as if he saw endless possibilities. Never before had he desired wealth so desperately. When he defected from Konoha village, he only took away research materials but neglected the most valuable thing, money. If he had realized this at the time, perhaps he would have sneaked into the Hokage building and tried to get some of the wealth. After all, the Fire Nation daimyo provides Konoha village with billions of dollars in financial grants every year, and these are resources he can use. If he had sneaked in at the beginning, he would definitely be able to bring out hundreds of millions. Orochimaru's eyes lit up. It's not too late to go back now. He had already thought it through and decided to find a time to sneak back to the village and get some money. He could also borrow some money from Jiraiya. That guy had completed so many S-rank missions, so he must have a lot of money. Thinking of this, Orochimaru nodded in agreement. Money is indeed important. Young Xiao smiled and said, "Life is just 2 words, make money." Orochimaru shook his head, "No, it's 4 words, eternal life and making money." Yes, yes, eternal life and making money." Young Xiao echoed. After all, Orochimaru was a big client, so everything he said was right. "So you have to work hard to make money and spend money here, so that you can achieve eternal life sooner," Young Xiao said crazily. Young Xiao thought happily in his heart that as long as Orochimaru kept making money and continued to spend money with him, he would soon be able to live a godly life where he could sleep until he woke up naturally and count money until his hands cramped. "I understand, Boss Yun. I will definitely work hard to make money," Orochimaru said in a firm tone, then said goodbye and left. After all, he is penniless now, and there is no point in staying here any longer. He might as well go back early to comprehend the secret of immortality and refine elixirs. So, Orochimaru held the alchemy furnace tightly in his hands, carried an assault rifle on his back, a desert eagle tied to his calf, 2 martial arts secret books in his arms, and a small cloth bag on his waist, and walked out of the store in a swagger. Young Xiao stood at the door of the store, looking at Orochimaru's departing figure, and couldn't help muttering to himself, "Is this the right style of painting in the Hokage world? Rain country. This is a country where it rains all year round. Somewhere." Suddenly, a pile of papers flew in the air, as if they had life, and slowly gathered in one direction. After a while, they formed a human figure, and finally became a blue-haired girl. She stood there quietly, looking at the man in front of her. "Pain, White Zetsu just sent a message that Orochimaru has defected from Konoha," the blue-haired girl said calmly. The man who was staring at Rain Shinobi village slowly turned around after hearing the news. He was wearing a black robe with red cloud patterns embroidered on it, which made him look particularly eye-catching. However, what was most striking was his strange eyes, which were shaped like onions. If Young Xiao was present, he would definitely recognize that this was a Rinnegan. "Konan, the organization is in urgent need of manpower right now, go and recruit Orochimaru," Pain said in a cold tone. "Got it." Konan responded, and her body instantly turned into countless pieces of white paper, and then quickly flew away from the rain country. Shortly after Conan left, a strong vortex suddenly appeared in the space, and a mysterious man wearing a yellow single-eye mask slowly emerged. The man stood in the darkness, shrouded in a gloomy aura that made people shudder. There is a bounty hunter named Kakuzu in the gold exchange near the Land of Fire. He once tried to assassinate Senju Hashirama. Although his strength is average, you can consider recruiting him into the Akatsuki organization," said the masked man in a cold voice. Pain stared closely at the masked man who suddenly appeared. After a moment of silence, he finally said, "I know. Madara. Good to know." After saying that, a vortex began to appear in the masked man's right eye, his body gradually became blurred, and finally disappeared into the air. After the masked man disappeared, Pain still stood there motionless, his eyes fixed on the direction he left, as if he was lost in thought. After a long moment, he murmured under his breath, "Is he really Uchiha Madara?" When he was in despair, a man who called himself Uchiha Madara suddenly appeared and claimed that he could create a peaceful ninja world. "Humph, I hope he didn't lie to me." Pain snorted. The Fire Nation border. A man with stitches on his limbs, a mask on his face, and a rebel ninja forehead protector on his head was leading ahead happily towards a place. This person is the Kakuzu that Madara mentioned. Kakuzu picked up the head in his hand and examined it carefully. He nodded with satisfaction, "It is him, no doubt about it. I never thought that such a weak person would be offered a reward of 1 million. I made 1 million today, and I have to make more tomorrow," he said to himself, and then walked happily towards the gold exchange. Suddenly, Kakuzu paused and asked in confusion, "Hey? When did a store get built here? I don't remember there being one before." He stood there, staring at the strange shop in front of him, his heart full of curiosity. The store exuded a mysterious atmosphere, and he noticed at a glance that the plaque read, "All you need is money." "He's so arrogant, it seems he's quite rich," Kakuzu said as he walked into the store. Chapter 6. Kakuzu walked into the store with his head held high, and he looked around at the glass counters curiously. There were so many goods that he was dazzled. The goods on the counter were things Kakuzu had never seen before. Although he didn't know the owner, the fact that there were so many strange and weird things in the store showed that the owner must be very rich. Kakuzu decided to observe the strength of the shop owner. If he was not as strong as him, he would definitely choose to kill people and steal the treasure. Xiao, who was sleeping on a recliner, opened his eyes when he heard footsteps. "I just took a nap and didn't expect someone to come." Xiao yawned. "Welcome, is there anything I can help you with?" Xiao stood up and was shocked when he saw the person coming. Why did this guy come in with a head in his hand? It was bloody and scary. He was stunned when he saw the other person's appearance. Did he stir up a hornet's nest of the Akatsuki organization today? How come all the people here are from Akatsuki? It seems that he is at the border of the fire country, and is still some distance away from the rain country. But when he saw that Kakuzu was not wearing the Akatsuki uniform, he realized that Kakuzu had not yet joined the Akatsuki. Kakuzu looked at Xiao and said coldly, "Are you the manager of this store?" In Kakuzu's perception, the boy in front of him did not have any chakra fluctuations, he was just a civilian. But Kakuzu did not take direct action. Could anyone who dared to open a store in such a remote place be an ordinary person? Kakuzu was unwilling to believe it anyway. As an old antique who had lived from the Sengoku period to the present, he was still wary. What if 100 or 80 Jainin rush out from all directions as soon as he makes a move? Xiao smiled and said, "I am the store manager. Is there anything you need?" "I have everything here." Kakuzu was immediately interested when he saw Xiao's confident look. Does he really have everything? Of course. Xiao assured, patting his chest. "Give me 100 million ryo." Kakuzu said. "What the hell?" Xiao was stunned. Did Kakuzu think of himself as a bank? "Customer, stop joking. This is a store and I sell things," Xiao explained. Kakuzu threw the head at Xiao's feet. He twisted his neck and said, "But I never pay for things I buy." Xiao's forehead was bulging with veins. He stared at Kakuzu intently and said through gritted teeth, "Are you looking for trouble?" After observing for so long, Kakuzu has confirmed that there are no ninjas lying in ambush around, and the boy in front of him is just an ordinary person. He sneered and said, hand over all your money and I will consider leaving you with an intact body. Kakuzu felt that he had picked up a great bargain. He didn't expect to meet such a fat sheep in such a remote place. He thought the items in the store were high-end and could definitely be sold for a good price. Since this brat in front of me won't tell me, I'll kill him and then look for it myself. Thinking of this, Kakuzu took out the sharp kunao expressionlessly and wiped it on Yung Xiao's neck without hesitation. It has been detected that the host is in danger. All attributes of the host have been strengthened by 100000000%. The cold mechanical voice of the system suddenly sounded. After Yung Xiao's own attributes were enhanced, he felt that he was now incredibly strong. Kakuzu's movements seemed a million times slower in his eyes. He walked up leisurely and slapped Kakuzu. In Kakuzu's eyes, the boy in front of him suddenly disappeared. Before he could react, he felt his head being hit by a huge force. His head spun rapidly for hundreds of times in an instant, and then his whole body flew out like a cannonball, hit the wall heavily, and then fell to the ground, his life or death unknown. But the seemingly ordinary wall did not show any cracks after being hit so hard. It is worthy of being a product of the system. The quality and strength are really amazing. Yung Xiao looked at Kakuzu lying on the ground for a long time without any response and suddenly panicked. He remembered that Kakuzu had 5 hearts, so logically he should have 5 lives. How come he died instantly? Yung Xiao seemed to suddenly think of something and his eyes widened in horror. Could it be that Kakuzu only had 1 heart at that time and he had not had time to replace it? Kakuzu can't die. This guy is very rich and is one of his big clients. He absolutely can't die. Oh, that's right, senzu beans. Yung Xiao slapped his head and hurriedly went to get the senzu beans. After Yung Xiao left, Kakuzu, who was lying on the ground, dared to open his eyes. He looked at Yung Xiao's back with fear on his face. He didn't expect that the seemingly ordinary boy in front of him would slap him to death. If I didn't have 5 hearts, I would have died here today. This guy is even scarier than Senju Hashirama. Thinking back to the past. He received an order from the higher UPS of Takigakuer, Kakuzu, go kill Senju Hashirama. The young man Kakuzu pointed at himself and said in disbelief, me. That's right, as long as you succeed, you will be the hero of Takigakuer village. In this way, the young man Kakuzu was entrusted with the task and accepted it. The Fire Nation. Kakuzu crouched on a tree, looking at 2 figures in the distance. Is the one in white the god of ninja? The young man Kakuzu's voice was trembling. The young man Kakuzu took out 3 shurikens from his ninja tool bag and threw them at Senju Hashirama with trembling hands. Shuriken, you must hit it, the young man Kakuzu prayed. Senju Hashirama felt something flying towards him and asked curiously, what is that? Uchiha Madara glanced, shuriken. Oh, it's shuriken. Hey? How come there are shuriken? Senju Hashirama was stunned. After Senju Hashirama realized what was happening, he excitedly said, Madara, look at me catching a shuriken with my bare hands. Uchiha Madara didn't say anything, because after activating the Sharingan he saw that the 3 shuriken couldn't fly towards them at all. Swish, swish, swish. Senju Hashirama was ready to catch the shuriken with his bare hands. Puff, puff, puff. Senju Hashirama was stunned for a moment, because the 3 shurikens, just as Uchiha Madara thought, just fell in front of them. Far away. Kakuzu on the tree was shocked and said, mission failed. You are worthy of being the god of ninja. Then, Kakuzu turned around and ran without hesitation. Hashirama, the little mouse ran away. Uchiha Madara whispered. Senju Hashirama heard this and clapped his hands, and a wood clone suddenly appeared. Just let wood clone play with him, ahaha. Senju Hashirama laughed with his hands on his hips. Uchiha Madara held his forehead helplessly, wondering why his friend's brain was not normal. Kakuzu, a young man who was walking through the woods, heard a sound behind him. He turned around and was frightened to death. Senju Hashirama actually caught up with me. He was then quickly caught and beaten up by Wood Clone. Fortunately, Senju Hashirama was kind-hearted and did not want to kill him. Thinking back to the present, Kakuzu looked at Yung Xiao in the distance with fear. This guy is much scarier than Senju Hashirama. Chapter 7. Yung Xiao quickly took out a magic bean from the cabinet and ran quickly to Kakuzu. When Kakuzu saw Yung Xiao suddenly turn around, he was so scared that he quickly closed his eyes and didn't even dare to breathe. Just kidding, if this guy found out that he was pretending to be dead, he couldn't imagine what kind of torture he would suffer. Xiao squatted on the ground and put his hand in front of Kakuzu's nose. FK, no breathing, is he really dead? He felt that under the circumstances, there was little point in feeding Kakuzu senzu beans. Xiao definitely didn't refuse to feed Kakuzu the beans because he saw that he had already died and didn't want to waste a single senzu bean. Xiao is not that kind of person. Well, definitely not. Host, how could you do this? The system suddenly spoke and scared Xiao. He didn't expect that he would be discovered while doing something bad in secret. How could I just stand by and watch someone die? Am I that kind of person? Xiao laughed. As he said that, he violently pried open Kakuzu's mouth and stuffed the senzu beans in. Kakuzu felt as if his mouth was about to be torn open by Xiao, and he was terrified. Damn, I didn't expect this guy to have a hobby of whipping corpses. Is he a pervert? Although Kakuzu's mouth corner was torn and hurt, he didn't dare to show it. If the other party finds out, he will be in trouble. Suddenly, he felt as if Xiao stuffed something into his mouth. Kakuzu was a little scared. What on earth did this guy feed him? Xiao found that the senzu beans were stuck in Kakuzu's mouth and he couldn't swallow them. He felt a little overwhelmed. So, Xiao hesitated for a moment, and suddenly grabbed Kakuzu's head and chin, and then opened and closed them frantically. You eat it, lousy. Come on, come on. Kakuzu was about to cry, his tongue was about to be bitten off by his teeth. Why is this guy so perverted? Kakuzu regretted it very much. If he had known earlier, he would not have come in. He knew that anyone who could open a shop in such a remote place was definitely not an ordinary person. Now you're in the hands of the other party. During this process, Kakuzu finally swallowed the senzu beans. Xiao threw Kakuzu aside and wiped the non-existent sweat from his forehead. Finally he ate it. The back of Kakuzu's head hit the ground. Although it hurt, he was very happy. This guy is finally tired of playing, so we can throw his corpse out. At this moment, Kakuzu was surprised to find that the wound on his mouth caused by Xiao had healed immediately. The sudden change did not make Kakuzu happy, but instead filled him with fear. This guy is really a pervert. He actually played with the corpse and then healed it. Could it be that he wanted to hide his own corpse and torture it day and night? Thinking of this, Kakuzu's body trembled subconsciously. But Xiao did not notice Kakuzu's movements. Now he just felt that he had lost $500,000 in vain. If I had known, I wouldn't have given him the food. Xiao suddenly remembered that although Kakuzu was dead, his money was still there. Kakuzu was a greedy person, so he must have a lot of money. He only lost one senzu bean, but he could get all of Kakuzu's property. He felt like he had made a fortune. Kakuzu definitely has much more assets than Orochimaru, so he might be able to find a few small targets. Thinking of this, Xiao's breathing began to become rapid. He squatted in front of Kakuzu and began to slowly feel around Kakuzu's corpse, fearing to miss a single detail. Kakuzu felt Xiao caressing his thigh and subconsciously tensed his body. Xiao was a little confused. So the corpse stiffened so quickly? Whatever, let's continue. Kakuzu was almost crying. This guy is no ordinary pervert. He had seen many perverts in his life, but no one was more pervert than Xiao. This BD actually wanted to violate the corpse. But even so, Kakuzu didn't move at all. After all, he was just pretending to be a corpse. If he was discovered by the other party, he would really become a corpse. Xiao checked the front but found nothing. He was a little surprised. Could it be the back? Thinking of this, Xiao turned Kakuzu over. Kakuzu buried his face in the ground, eyes closed, teeth clenched. Damn it, is it coming? I wonder if it will hurt. Xiao put his hand on Kakuzu's waist. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he felt that Kakuzu's body moved just now. He observed carefully and breathed a sigh of relief. It's my first time doing this, so I'm bound to be a little nervous. Don't scare myself. Tears flowed from the corners of Kakuzu's eyes, and he roared in his heart, not everything needs to be tried. Xiao saw a bulge on the back of Kakuzu's clothes, his eyes lit up and he quickly pulled Kakuzu's clothes off. Damn it, he's finally here? I hope he can be a little gentler. Found it. Xiao said in surprise. As he said this, he took out the storage scroll that was pinned on Kakuzu's lower back. The frightened Kakuzu did not notice that his storage scroll had been taken away. Kakuzu noticed that the other party suddenly stopped moving. He was curious, but he didn't dare to open his eyes. Why did it stop at the critical moment? Kakuzu wondered. He suddenly understood something and became a little excited. It turns out that this kid is not good at that. No wonder he did that to the corpse. Kakuzu immediately breathed a sigh of relief. It was good that it didn't work in that aspect, it was good that it didn't work in that aspect. At least her anus was saved. He is already over 70 years old. If he can't even protect his own chrysanthemum at his age, and if it gets out, he might as well just die. Tens, hundreds, millions, and tens of millions. Damn, so much money! Xiao exclaimed. Hearing about money, Kakuzu subconsciously reached for his waist, but found it was empty. This is the accumulation of 1 or 2 heads he has taken over the years. This is all his hard-earned money. I didn't expect that he would be robbed at his age. In Kakuzu's worldview, you can insult him, but you can't steal his money. Kakuzu immediately threw the difference in strength between the two sides out of his mind, and shouted angrily, "Give me the money back." Xiao, who was sitting on the ground happily counting money, suddenly heard Kakuzu's roar and was almost scared to death. Xiao turned around and saw Kakuzu looking at him angrily. At this time, Xiao was sitting on a pile of money, with a thick stack of banknotes in his hand. Xiao was a little embarrassed. Wasn't the other party dead? How come you're alive again now? Xiao was considering whether to send the opponent away with 2 punches. Then he immediately shook his head. He was a model young man of the 21st century. How could he do something that bullied the weak? However, Xiao is confident that Kakuzu will definitely hand the money to him obediently. Chapter 8. Hehe, you're not dead. Xiao said embarrassedly. I was dead originally, but when I heard you took my money, I came back to life. Kakuzu said angrily. Xiao's mouth twitched and he quickly walked out of the pile of money. Seeing that Kakuzu was still staring at him, Xiao was a little confused. Didn't he already walk out? Why are you still staring at him? Xiao followed Kakuzu's gaze and found that he was still holding a thick stack of banknotes in his hand. Haha. He threw the money into the pile of money awkwardly. After Xiao stood up, Kakuzu rushed into the pile of money. Suddenly, a large number of black tentacles appeared behind him, and they counted the bills frantically, fearing that a few were missing. Hualala Kakuzu's speed in counting money amazed Xiao. No wonder he would become the finance minister of Akatsuki in the future. Soon, a large stack of money was neatly placed in front of Kakuzu. Xiao was extremely jealous when he saw the huge pile of money. Those were all white banknotes. Oh my, oh my, oh my! Xiao screamed wildly in his heart. He was determined to trick Kakuzu into spending the money in the store. Xiao has decided that Kakuzu will not buy the best, but only the most expensive. The tentacles behind Kakuzu gradually retracted into his body. He turned his head and looked at Xiao with a vigilant look. Xiao looked at Kakuzu's nervous expression and quickly slowed down his tone. Brother, don't be afraid. As he said that, Xiao hurried to the door and closed it, fearing that Kakuzu would suddenly run away with the money. Click. Kakuzu looked at the locked door with a look of despair. I can't fight back, and I can't run away either. It seems that Kakuzu will die here today. Kakuzu looked at the pile of money on the ground, feeling unwilling. The greatest sorrow in life is that the money remains even after the person dies. The greatest pain is that the people are still there but the money is gone. But when he saw Xiao's money-obsessed look just now, Kakuzu knew that not only would he lose his life, but also his money. This is true despair. Brother, what do you want to buy? Xiao rubbed his hands excitedly, subconsciously looked at the banknotes on the ground, and swallowed. Kakuzu looked angry. He could have just robbed me, but he still gave me something. Seeing that Kakuzu didn't say anything, Xiao thought that he didn't know what to buy, so he quickly introduced, I have weapons that can improve strength, equipment that can increase defense, medicines for healing, etc. I have everything you can think of, and even things you can't imagine. After hearing Xiao's explanation, Kakuzu looked at Xiao in surprise. Could it be that the other party really just wanted to sell things? You won't kill me? Kakuzu asked nervously. Xiao was stunned. I'm just a businessman. Why would I kill you? I just wanted to teach you a lesson. Who knew you were so weak? Kakuzu's mouth twitched. That's called a lesson? Just give him a life and kill him. But Kakuzu became excited again. Xiao just wanted to rob him of his money. It was a good thing that he didn't kill him. Although this money was his half-life savings, as long as he was still alive, he would be able to earn that much money again. Boss, do you have a heart here? Kakuzu asked curiously. Xiao smiled and nodded, of course, follow me. Then, Xiao walked to a counter. Kakuzu followed curiously. He had lost 2 hearts in the previous battle, and Xiao had just taken away another one. Kakuzu, who only has 2 hearts, is very insecure, so he urgently needs a compensatory heart. Kakuzu just said it casually, but he didn't expect Xiao really had it. He quickly walked behind Xiao. How about this? Xiao took out a slowly beating black metal heart. This heart is made of the hardest metal in the universe. I don't think anyone in this world can damage it. Xiao said as he handed the metal heart to Kakuzu. Kakuzu was so shocked that he was speechless after hearing Xiao's introduction. The strongest metal in the universe, no one can damage it. Moreover, the heart can be made of metal? Kakuzu's breathing began to become rapid. He took the heart with trembling hands, feeling the strong beating of the heart in his hands. Kakuzu was very excited. Try and see if it's strong. If it's not, you won't be charged. Xiao promised, patting his chest. Kakuzu realized after hearing this that he couldn't just listen to Xiao's one-sided words, seeing it with his own eyes is believing. Kakuzu then pulled out a kunai and slashed at the beating heart. Clang, there was a crisp sound, and a gap appeared on the kunai, but the metal heart was intact. Kakuzu's eyes widened, unable to believe what was happening. He picked up another kunai and struck at the heart again with all his strength, but the result was the same. There were more and more gaps on the kunai, but the metal heart remained intact. Kakuzu's breathing became more rapid as he finally realized that he was holding a priceless treasure in his hands. Such a treasure is worth having no matter how high the price is. Thinking of this, a hint of greed flashed in Kakuzu's eyes. He held the metal heart tightly, as if he was afraid that someone would snatch it away. Kakuzu's breathing was rapid. Boss, I want 5 hearts. An indestructible heart, coupled with his earth grievance, this is the true immortality. 15 million taels each, 5 in total, a total of 75 million taels. Xiao said with a smile. When Kakuzu heard the price, his eyes widened like copper bells. Boss, is your heart made of gold? Xiao said unhappily, this is the hardest metal in the universe, much more valuable than gold. Kakuzu then realized that he was influenced by his previous habit of being stingy. This metal heart was tailor-made for him. No matter how expensive this heart is, he will buy it even if he sells everything he has. Boss, I bought it! Kakuzu shouted. Haha, that's great! Xiao Kakuzu's mouth was grinning almost to his ears, and he quickly took out 4 more hearts and placed them on the counter. Kakuzu is the real big customer. He spent 75 million taels at once. Xiao was afraid that Kakuzu was a stingy person and would not be able to spend a penny. Then he would be helpless against him. But as long as he spends, Xiao is confident that Kakuzu will willingly spend all the money. Kakuzu then took off his clothes, revealing his body to be covered in dense stitches. He picked up a heart and slowly put it into his chest. Xiao got goosebumps watching this. This is too disgusting. After having a metal heart installed, Kakuzu made a surprising discovery. He seemed to be able to control the metal. As soon as he thought about it, the kunai in his ninja bag slowly floated in the air. Xiao was completely dumbfounded when he saw the kunai floating in the air. Can you control metal by installing a metal heart? Isn't this resentment of the land too terrifying? Control metal. Xiao's eyes lit up. He knew what he was going to sell to Kakuzu. Chapter 9. Kakuzu excitedly quickly stuffed the other hearts into his chest. What shocked Kakuzu was that not only did he gain the ability to control all metals within a 10-mile radius, but his previous chakra properties were still there. He was originally worried that after replacing the metal heart, he would lose the existing 5 chakra attributes, but he did not expect that not only did the chakra attributes not disappear, he also awakened the ability to control metal. Imagine that in a battle, the opponent throws a shuriken at you, and then Kakuzu controls the shuriken to float in the air. In the opponent's astonished eyes, the shuriken suddenly changes direction and shoots back. Just thinking about it is very cool. Of course one's whole life is to show one's worth in front of others. He had always particularly enjoyed seeing the horrified expression on his opponent's face when he found out that he couldn't kill him. Thinking of this, Kakuzu stared at Xiao with fiery eyes. The boss in front of me is really mysterious. Not only is he extremely powerful, but he also has such powerful products. He subconsciously looked around at the densely packed glass counters and was very shocked. Could it be that all the things inside were good stuff? Kakuzu's eyes were burning with anger. If he didn't know how terrifyingly powerful Xiao was, he would have started robbing him long ago. Seeing Kakuzu's excitement, Xiao smiled and said, "Since you can control metal, I recommend you buy something." As he spoke, Xiao walked to a counter and took out a black square box. Kakuzu walked over and stared at the box curiously. Under Kakuzu's curious gaze, the box slowly opened, revealing half a box of silver liquid inside. "Boss, what is this liquid?" Kakuzu asked curiously. "This is not liquid, look carefully," Xiao said with a smile. Hearing this, Kakuzu moved closer to the box and took a closer look. He discovered that this was indeed not liquid, but a bunch of tiny round metals piled together. Because they were so small, they really looked like liquid if you didn't look closely. "This is a nanorobot. Since you can control metal, see if you can control it," Xiao said. Kakuzu nodded when he heard this. He put his hand into the box and with a thought, these nanorobots slowly crawled onto Kakuzu's arm. As Kakuzu stared in shock, the nanorobots completely attached themselves to his hands. He only felt that his arm suddenly became extremely hard, and he raised his arm violently and smashed it hard against the glass counter. Clang! A crisp sound echoed in the air. The glass counter in front of him was smashed to pieces by Kakuzu, and countless glass fragments flew everywhere, scattered on the ground, making a tinkling sound. Kakuzu's eyes widened in excitement. He discovered that these nanorobots could actually change according to his thoughts and could transform into various shapes. This powerful function made him ecstatic, as if he had discovered a huge treasure. Unfortunately, the nanorobots in the box can only cover one arm. "Boss, how much is this? I want more." Kakuzu looked at Xiao excitedly. However, when he looked at Xiao, he found that the other party was looking at him with a smile, and there was a hint of inexplicable surprise in his eyes. Kakuzu was confused and asked, "Boss, what's wrong?" Xiao's smile grew brighter. "Dear, you broke the glass display case in our store. Can you compensate me with 10 million taels?" After hearing Xiao's words, Kakuzu's previous excitement instantly disappeared. He widened his eyes with a look of disbelief. "Boss, why is it so expensive?" Kakuzu was almost about to collapse, he couldn't help but shout loudly. He really wanted to slap himself twice. Why were his hands so mean? "There's nothing I can do." "Who told you to damage it?" Xiao's mouth curled up, unable to suppress it. Kakuzu nodded with a pained look on his face. "I'll pay. Let's pay it together when the time comes," Xiao said with a smile. Then, he waved his hand, and the counter that had been smashed to pieces was restored to its original state in an instant. Kakuzu rubbed his eyes subconsciously and was horrified to find that the counter was repaired like this. He looked at Xiao with heartache. He just waved his hand to repair the problem, but Xiao actually asked him to pay 10 million yuan. Kakuzu was so angry that he quickly covered his heart. If he didn't have 5 hearts and a fast blood supply, he would have fainted. Perhaps Kakuzu will never forget this incident in his long life. Xiao automatically ignored Kakuzu's expression. He said cheerfully, "You just said you want more nanorobots? You wait." Xiao took out 4 boxes of nanorobots from under the counter. Although Kakuzu was sad, when he saw the nanorobots, the previous haze was swept away. If nanorobots could cover his entire body, combined with his metal heart, he would be the coolest bounty hunter in the ninja world. In Kakuzu's eyes, ninja is no longer a representative of physical skills, ninjutsu, an illusion, but a unit of currency. Something like, 1 ma equals 30 million. Their value depends on their bounty amount. To him, life is nothing more than a string of beautiful numbers. He has begun to fantasize that in the future he will be immersed in the joy of exchanging heads for money every day. After all, the world is big, making money is the most important thing, eating, drinking, having fun, and killing are the most enjoyable. From now on, he will definitely be able to live a life where he turns a deaf ear to the world outside and counts money until his hands cramp. Then use the money you earn to buy things from your boss. If Xiao knew what Kakuzu was thinking at this moment, he would definitely praise him. Young man, you have a bright future. One box is 20 million taels, a total of 100 million taels. Xiao's words brought Kakuzu back to his senses. He was a little shocked. He didn't expect that this nanorobot was so expensive. Fortunately, he has not spent the money he earned over the years, so he can still afford it. Xiao was so excited. Kakuzu was really a big customer. I didn't expect that 185 million taels would be spent here in such a short time. Kakuzu took the box and without hesitation controlled the nanorobots to cover his body. But to Kakuzu's surprise, after he bought 5 boxes, the nanorobots only covered half of his body. He gritted his teeth and said, "Boss, give me another box." Kakuzu's savings over the years are almost gone. Xiao smiled and said, "Brother, let's settle the previous account first. A total of 185.5 million taels, and the 500,000 taels are the money for the fairy beans I gave you before." Kakuzu nodded. He understood that the boss was worried that he couldn't pay. After he gave the money to Xiao, there was only a little left of the original mountain of money. Xiao estimated that there were probably still about 30 to 40 million taels of money on the ground. After Kakuzu handed the money to Xiao, he suddenly realized that all the money he had accumulated over the years was about to be spent in such a short time. Chapter 10. Xiao took the pile of money from Kakuzu, put it into the system space, and said cheerfully, "You want another box of nanorobots?" "Yes, boss," Kakuzu said, and started to count how much money he had left. Soon, Kakuzu looked at the 35 million ryo on the ground and fell into deep thought. He originally thought that he could use the remaining money to buy 2 more boxes of nanorobots, but he didn't expect that he could only buy 1 box. He didn't expect that the money he earned from accepting bounties over the years would be spent so soon. Kakuzu put the remaining 15 million taels into the storage scroll. He planned to save more money so that he could fully arm the nanorobots at once. He discovered that nanorobots not only have strong attack power, but also strong defense power. He has high attack power and a thick health bar. Who can beat him? Kakuzu handed the 20 million ryo to Xiao. "Boss, here's the money." Xiao put the money into the system space with a smile, then took out a box of nanorobots and handed it to Kakuzu. Kakuzu didn't hesitate, he took the box and quickly installed the nanorobot on himself. Xiao was extremely excited. Kakuzu spent 2 small goals on him. He was indeed an old antique who had lived from the Sengoku period to the present. He was really rich. "Brother, is there anything else you need?" Xiao asked. Kakuzu sighed, "Boss, I have no money." Xiao patted Kakuzu's shoulder and said earnestly, "In this world, family, love, and friendship may betray you, but only your own power and the money in your hands will not betray you." Kakuzu nodded in agreement. Xiao was right. He has lived for so many years and has seen all kinds of things, such as brothers turning against each other for a little benefit, a son hoping that his seriously ill father will die soon, and so on. During these long years, Kakuzu survived the deaths of his former friends and enemies, witnessed the glory of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara, and also experienced the cruelty of war and the coldness of human nature. Just as Xiao said, Kakuzu realized this, so he put all his enthusiasm into unlimited money-making activities, so he was able to spend so much money to buy things. But, for me, money and strength complement each other. As long as you have enough money, you can exchange it for strength here. So as long as you keep making money and come to my place to spend money, you will become stronger. Xiao put his arm around Kakuzu's shoulders and persuaded him. Kakuzu nodded seriously, "I understand, boss." Kakuzu has made up his mind to earn 85 million ryo in the shortest possible time and get the remaining nanorobots. Seeing Kakuzu's reaction, Xiao nodded with satisfaction. As long as the other party knew it, it was worth it for him to talk so much. "Boss, I'm going back to make money first," said Kakuzu. "I wish you can make a lot of money soon." Xiao encouraged. He really hoped that Kakuzu could make money quickly and come to his place to spend money. "I will." Kakuzu picked up his head from the ground and walked to the door but stopped, because the door was locked. Xiao felt a little embarrassed when he saw this and quickly opened the door. He had locked the door because he was afraid that this big client would suddenly run away. Come often. Xiao waved his hand. Kakuzu nodded, gathered the nanobots around his legs, and quickly left. Xiao looked at Kakuzu's departing back and said with emotion, I hope he can make a lot of money soon. As he said that, Xiao yawned and returned to the house. The Fire Nation border. Konan, wait a minute. Konan, who was searching for Orochimaru, stopped when he heard the voice. He looked at Pain, who was leaning against the tree, in confusion. Pain, why are you here? Konan asked puzzledly. There's a change of plan. You look for a ninja named Kakuzu at the gold exchange on the border of the Land of Fire. I'll go find Orochimaru myself, Pain said calmly. I understand. Konan's body instantly turned into a pile of paper and flew somewhere. Chief, White Zetsu has sent information saying that Orochimaru is heading towards the land of rice fields. The speaker was a short-looking man. If Xiao were here, he would definitely recognize that this is the Red Sand Scorpion's Fei Liuhu. Heading to the land of fields. Pain murmured. Yes. Then let's go. Two figures, one big and one small, began to rush towards Tianziguo quickly. The country of fields. Since Orochimaru-sama came back, he has been staying in the experiment and has not come out. Keep your voice down. Lord Orochimaru is probably doing an experiment. Didn't you hear the explosions coming from inside from time to time? The ninjas who followed Orochimaru all looked towards the laboratory with curiosity. Bong! Suddenly there was a huge explosion in the laboratory, scaring the ninjas outside so much that their faces turned pale. What on earth is Orochimaru-sama researching? That sound is so horrible. In the laboratory, Orochimaru wore a green Taoist robe and put his hair behind his head, just like a real Taoist priest. He had this outfit specially made according to the illustrations in the Compendium of Alchemy because he believed that this was what a cultivator should wear. At this time, Orochimaru was covered in dust and coughing non-stop. He looked at the complete book of pills in his hand with doubt, and said to himself, did I fail again? He really couldn't figure out where the problem was. Orochimaru recalled what his boss had said and muttered to himself, boss is right, this alchemy is really not that simple. He opened the furnace and found 7 pills inside, 6 of which were black and only one was emitting dazzling golden light. Wow, golden legend! Orochimaru picked up the golden pill with surprise and looked at it carefully, is this the legendary powerful pill? He checked the introduction in the book, the surface of the dolly pill is golden. After taking it, it can enhance physical fitness for a short period of time, but after the effect of the drug ends, you will fall into a weak period. There is golden light on the surface of the body, it seems that the refining is successful. Orochimaru licked his lips excitedly. But Orochimaru doesn't dare to test the medicine on himself. What if there is a problem after taking it? He decided to find an unlucky guy to help him test the medicine. Who are you? Ah! At this moment, a few screams were suddenly heard outside the laboratory, but they soon became quiet. Orochimaru licked his lips, a guest has arrived. Before he could finish his words, the door of the laboratory was suddenly blown away by a repulsive force. A gust of wind blew, and Orochimaru's robe was rustling. Tap, tap, tap! 2 men in black robes walked into the laboratory. Akatsuki. Orochimaru muttered. When he defected from Konoha, he heard about the intelligence of Akatsuki, an organization composed entirely of traitorous ninjas. So after seeing their outfits, Orochimaru recognized them immediately. He didn't expect that he had just defected from Konoha and the other party came to him so soon. Chapter 11. After hearing Orochimaru's words, Pain asked with interest, oh? You know us? I know a thing or two. Orochimaru said. Then you should know the purpose of our coming here, right? I am Pain, the leader of Akatsuki, and I invite you to join Akatsuki. Pain said coldly. Orochimaru stared straight into Pain's eyes and licked his lips, the eye of the legendary sage of 6 paths. If you want my eyes, it depends on whether you are qualified. Pain frowned. Orochimaru smiled and shook his head, I have no interest in the Rinnegan. He might have been interested in the Rinnegan before, but now that he has started to cultivate immortality, he has no interest in the Rinnegan at all. You can let me join Akatsuki, but I need a lot of funds for experiments, said Orochimaru. He was just worrying about where to get the money, and then Akatsuki came to his door. Pain didn't expect Orochimaru to make such a condition. He thought about it and agreed, okay, I promise you. Welcome to Akatsuki. Scorpion took out a ring and Akatsuki robe and handed them to Orochimaru. The word empty was written on the ring, and Orochimaru took the ring and put it on his finger. The red sand scorpion looked at Orochimaru's robe curiously and complained, "What kind of clothes are you wearing? Why do they look weird?" "Robe." Orochimaru put on the Akatsuki robe. "The goal of our Akatsuki organization is to create a world without war and pain, and we are constantly working towards this goal." Pain said. Orochimaru doesn't care what Akatsuki's goal is. He joins Akatsuki purely for the money. The three are about to walk out of the laboratory. Wait a minute. Orochimaru suddenly remembered that he hadn't taken the alchemy furnace yet, so he picked up the storage scroll on the table and put it on his waist. The storage scroll contained the medicinal materials and firearms he needed to make pills. These things were very important and he absolutely could not leave them behind. As for the alchemy furnace, it was too big to fit the storage scroll, so Orochimaru could only hold it in front of him. The red sand scorpion looked at the alchemy furnace curiously. "What is this?" "Alchemy furnace." "Oh, what is this for?" "An alchemist." "What is alchemy?" Orochimaru was speechless. Why was this guy asking questions like a curious baby? He couldn't help but start to wonder whether his decision to join Akatsuki was a wrong one. Outside the gold exchange. Bang, bang. "I got 1 million, but I still need another 84 million. Kakuzu said excitedly. As long as he kept accepting bounties, he would soon be able to buy a full set of nanobots. By then, with the metal heart and nanorobots, Kakuzu felt that he would be able to fight Senju Hashirama. Ever since Kakuzu was beaten by Hashirama's wood clone, he thought every tree he saw looked like Senju Hashirama. Kakuzu has already made up his mind. When the time comes, he will go to Konoha to dig out Senju Hashirama and whip his corpse. Who? Kakuzu suddenly looked up at the sky. A pile of paper slowly came together, eventually forming a woman with wings. "Kakuzu, I invite you to join the Akatsuki organization," Konan said condescendingly. Kakuzu narrowed his eyes. "I'm busy making money, so I don't have time to join any organization." Kakuzu thinks making money is the most important thing and no one can stop him from making money. Konan expected Kakuzu to refuse, so she said coldly, "The only way to make you submit is by force." Konan fell to the ground, and the wings behind him turned into a pile of paper, flying around Kakuzu. Kakuzu raised an eyebrow. "Interesting, let me show you my newfound power." As he spoke, Kakuzu's body was suddenly covered in silver metal, and the black tentacles behind him were also covered in metal. Konan was a little surprised because that wasn't what the intelligence said. Puff! Konan's body was instantly split in half by Kakuzu's tentacles. Konan's body then turned into a pile of paper. The pile of paper flew behind Kakuzu and eventually formed Konan. "Some strength," Kakuzu muttered. Konan was also shocked. She didn't expect Kakuzu to be so strong. The attack just now was so fast that she almost couldn't react. Konan looked at the metal covering Kakuzu's body curiously. This should be the thing that greatly increased Kakuzu's strength. She didn't know where the metal on Kakuzu came from, and she was going to let Zetsu investigate. "I'm in a good mood today, so I'll let you go." Kakuzu turned around and prepared to leave. 100 million. Kakuzu took a step forward, then retracted it. He turned and looked at Konan in disbelief. "What did you just say?" "I'll give you 100 million if you join Akatsuki," Konan said. Kakuzu's eyes lit up immediately, and he smiled and said, "It doesn't matter whether it's money or not. I was mainly moved by the purpose of the organization." "By the way, what is the purpose of the organization?" "To create a peaceful world." Yes, I joined Akatsuki just because I wanted to create a peaceful world," Kakuzu said hypocritically. He learned this from young Xiao. He felt that by saying this, he could make others feel his sincerity. Konan was a little surprised. The intelligence didn't mention this. Kakuzu is a person who values money more than anything else, and if necessary, money can be used to trick him into joining the organization. Konan threw the organization's clothes and a ring with the word North written on it to Kakuzu. Kakuzu put on his clothes and said impatiently, "What are you waiting for?" "I can't wait to see Chien and the other members of the organization." Konan nodded, turned, and flew off in one direction, Kakuzu quickly following. Before leaving, Kakuzu looked in the direction of the store. "Don't worry, nanobots, I'll come find you soon." After Kakuzu left, a pitcher plant suddenly popped up on the ground. He looked curiously in the direction Kakuzu had been looking at before, and murmured, "Sure enough, there is something fishy going on. Let me see what's going on." As he said this, he dived in that direction. Rain Country. Akatsuki Organization Base. A man with a beheading sword on his back looked curiously at the alchemy furnace brought by Orochimaru. This man was Biwajozo. "Orochimaru-kun, what is this for?" Biwajozo asked curiously. Orochimaru didn't explain. He smiled and handed Biwajozo a golden pill. Biwajozo took it subconsciously. "Orochimaru-kun, what is this?" "It's our first meeting. I'll give you a pill that will enhance your strength. Just pay it when you encounter a special situation," Orochimaru said. "I see. Thanks, Orochimaru-kun." Biwajozo thanked. Tap, tap, tap. What? There are only so few people," Kakuzu muttered. Orochimaru was a little surprised to see silver liquid flowing through Kakuzu's body. It's obvious that this thing doesn't belong to this world. He licked his lips subconsciously. "Have you been to that store?" Kakuzu was shocked when he heard that. He looked towards Orochimaru. He didn't realize he was not the only one in the organization who had been there. Orochimaru saw Kakuzu's reaction and understood. Chapter 12. When was there a building here? Black Zetsu asked in confusion. He looked towards the stone pillar, all-knowing and all-powerful, with everything. Black Zetsu immediately became interested. He had lived for more than 1,000 years and never dared to claim that he was omniscient and omnipotent. How could this tiny, shabby shop dare to do so? He was a little curious and wanted to sneak in from underground to see what was going on. So he felt his way to the basement of the house and tried to crawl in as usual. Clang! Black Zetsu covered his head in pain. It hurt so much. If it weren't for the pitcher plant on his head that helped him block most of the damage, it would have been much more painful. Black Zetsu was confused. He didn't understand why his penetrating skills couldn't get through. Logically speaking, there was no building in this world that he couldn't enter. He slammed into the floor again in disbelief. Bang! As expected, Black Zetsu's head hit the floor. Why? Black Zetsu felt the severe pain coming from his head and he was completely confused. He sneaked to the door and looked at the building carefully. This shouldn't be. Black Zetsu looked around and didn't find anything special about the room, but why couldn't he get through? Is there a special sealing technique in this room? Black Zetsu said, "No, I'm going to tell Obito." Always cautious, he didn't dare to barge in rashly. After all, he couldn't use his penetrating skills that he was so proud of. What if he foolishly walked in and got ambushed? Thinking of this, Black Zetsu quietly dived underground. Rain Shinobi Village. A person disappeared into the darkness. "You mean you can't get into that room?" "Yes, I felt something was wrong, so I came to tell you," Black Zetsu said. "Interesting, I'll go take a look." As he spoke, a vortex appeared in his right eye and eventually disappeared. As Obito, who claims to be in control of everything behind the scenes, he will not allow anything to get out of his control, even if it is beyond his plan. "Wait for me." Black Zetsu hurriedly followed. Outdoors. Is this the room? Obito looked at the ancient building in front of him and carefully examined everything around him, but did not find anything unusual. "Yes, I can't penetrate it," Black Zetsu replied helplessly. "Interesting, let me try it." Obito raised the corners of his mouth under the mask, revealing an interested expression. After saying that, the three megatama in his right eye suddenly began to spin wildly, and eventually turned into a windmill shape. With this change, a vortex wave appeared in his right eye and Obito's body gradually disappeared. However, just as Obito was about to enter the room, an accident occurred. Under Black Zetsu's shocked gaze, Obito's head actually hit the wall with a dull sound. "Hey? What happened?" Obito covered his aching head, his face full of shock. "Why can't I enter? Is there a space seal here?" But he didn't see any fluctuations of sealing techniques around him, which made Obito very puzzled. "What should we do, Obito?" Black Zetsu asked anxiously. Obito looked at the open door not far away, a hint of determination flashed in his eyes. He snorted coldly and said, "Won't you know if you go in and take a look?" "Are you crazy? What if there is danger?" Black Zetsu exclaimed. He really didn't dare to go in. His plan was not yet completed and he absolutely could not allow any accidents to happen. Obito looked at Black Zetsu with disdain and sneered, "No one in this world can do anything to me. Obito is very confident in his current strength. With that, Obito walked towards the door without hesitation. Black Zetsu was speechless after hearing Obito's boastful words. This kid is pretending again. Black Zetsu has already planned that after his plan succeeds, he will have a few heartfelt words with Obito. It's impossible to go, he absolutely can't take the risk. However, as Obito faded away, Black Zetsu began to hesitate. Somehow, he felt that the things inside were very important to him. After some ideological struggle, he finally decided to take the risk. So, Black Zetsu followed Obito carefully, keeping a certain distance. He had prepared for the worst, and if things went wrong, he would not hesitate to abandon Obito and run away alone. After all, even if Obito is gone, there is still Nagato, and if his Black Zetsu is gone, he is really gone. He is different from Obito and Nagato who are alone. His old mother on the moon is still waiting for his rescue. If the Tsutsuki clan invades in the future, he will have to fight against them together with his mother, so he cannot afford to make any mistakes. Indoor. Xiao really couldn't bear it anymore. At first, there was sound from the floor, but now there was also sound from the walls. System, what a shabby house this is, can't I even sleep? Xiao complained. Just then, Obito walked into the room. Xiao heard footsteps and subconsciously looked towards the door. When Xiao saw the person clearly, he was stunned. The yellow vortex single-eye mask, the clothes of the Akatsuki organization, who else could it be but Uchiha Obito? And the pitcher plant at the back, who else could it be but Ju? Today, we really did disturb the Akatsuki's lair. Why are all the people who came here members of the Akatsuki organization? Uchiha Obito also stared at Xiao, commoner. Black Zetsu observed for a while and found no danger, so he also walked into the store. He looked around at the glass counters curiously. These were strange things that he had never seen in his thousands of years of life. There's no chakra fluctuation on this guy, so he should be just an ordinary person. But this place is a bit strange, and there seem to be many things I haven't seen before. Black Zetsu said to Obito. Obito nodded and continued to stare at Xiao. Are you the owner of this store? Xiao came back to his senses and hurried forward and asked enthusiastically, yes, what do you two guests want to buy? What do you have here? Black Zetsu asked curiously. I have whatever you want. As long as the money is in place, you can even let me blow up the moon in the sky. Xiao promised, patting his chest. Xiao said this on purpose, because it would be impossible to blow up the moon without hundreds of billions of dollars. He was hinting to Black Zetsu that if he had the money, he could blow up the moon. As expected, Black Zetsu's eyes lit up, but he quickly calmed down. This made Xiao sigh inwardly, he was indeed an old monster who had lived for 1,000 years. Black Zetsu laughed and said, Boss, stop joking. How is this possible? Xiao knew that Black Zetsu had taken the bait, and he said disdainfully, isn't the moon formed by the 6 paths planetary devastation sealing technique? Give me tens of billions and I can help you solve it in minutes. When Black Zetsu heard Xiao's words, he stood there in a daze. How did the boy in front of me know the ninjutsu 6 paths planetary devastation? Chapter 13. Black Zetsu really couldn't understand why the boy in front of him knew the 6 paths planetary devastation ninjutsu. No one in this world should know about this. When Black Zetsu was thrown out by his mother, he heard Tsutsuki Hago Romo and Tsutsuki Hamura shouting, 6 paths planetary devastation. Then they both slapped their mother. Black Zetsu saw with his own eyes that the earth began to crack, and countless pieces of soil began to gather towards the mother, and soon formed a huge meteorite with the mother at the center. Then the meteorite slowly rose into the sky and formed the current moon. Because Black Zetsu has no power, he has been hiding in the darkness all these years, constantly plotting a plan to resurrect his mother. As for the 6 paths planetary devastation jutsu, no one should know about it except the 4 people who were present at the time. Why would the boy in front of me know? Black Zetsu remembered the words written on the stone pillar at the door, omniscient and omnipotent. He looked at Xiao in horror. Could it be that he really knew everything? Black Zetsu's breathing was a little rapid. Even though he had been dormant for thousands of years, he could not suppress the excitement in his heart. Because the young man in front of him might really be able to resurrect his mother. Can you, really destroy the moon? Black Zetsu asked nervously. Obito on the side subconsciously looked at Black Zetsu. He didn't know what was wrong with Black Zetsu and why he wanted to destroy the moon for no reason. Obito looked at Black Zetsu speechlessly. What was even more outrageous was that Black Zetsu seemed to believe what his boss said. Of course. Xiao said, waving his hand in the air. A blue screen appeared in front of Obito and Black Zetsu's eyes. The two were startled by the sudden appearance of the light screen. They didn't understand why the screen appeared out of nowhere. This is a simulation of the 700 caliber Star Destroyer. Xiao clicked the play button. In the picture, there is a huge black cannon muzzle, slowly rotating and aiming at the moon in the distance. Buzz buzz buzz, the Star Destroyer cannon was fully charged, and blue light began to gather at the muzzle. Call out, the huge blue beam of light shot at the moon at an extremely fast speed, and then directly sank into the moon. After a few breaths, the originally peaceful moon suddenly turned into powder and disappeared into the universe. After the scene finished playing, Black Zetsu and Obito's mouths were open in shock. What a powerful weapon this is! Such a big moon, in just a few breaths, not even a slag is left. Xiao was very satisfied with the two people's shocked reactions. He smiled and said, "This is a Star Destroyer. If you have the money, I can get it for you in a minute." Hearing this, the two looked at Xiao in fear, no longer having the contempt they had at the beginning. Are you kidding me? How can a boss who can easily get such a world-destroying weapon be an ordinary person? Boss, I wonder how much this Star Destroyer cannon costs? Black Zetsu asked expectantly. Xiao stretched out his hand and said with a smile, 100 billion, one shot. Black Zetsu was extremely excited. He didn't expect that this world-destroying weapon would only cost 100 billion taels to use once. Although it was expensive, Black Zetsu thought that making money was much easier than plotting behind the scenes to resurrect his mother. With his IQ, it would take him a few decades at most to earn 100 billion. He has spent more than 1,000 years trying to resurrect his mother but has yet to succeed. When Black Zetsu learned that he could resurrect his mother as long as he had money, he was obviously very excited and he wanted to leave immediately to make money. Go to your Uchiha Madara, go to your infinite Tsukuyomi. Black Zetsu was excited after seeing the power of the Star Destroyer cannon, but he quickly reacted. With one shot from the Star Destroyer cannon, the moon was reduced to powder. Can the old mother inside the moon still be alive? Boss, can the people inside survive after one shot? Black Zetsu asked cautiously. Xiao patted his chest and assured, don't worry, the power of the Star Destroyer cannon is beyond imagination. After one shot, nothing will be left. Black Zetsu was about to cry. He finally found another way to revive his mother, but the power of the Star Destroyer cannon was so terrifying that his mother was gone after this one shot. Xiao saw Black Zetsu's expression and slapped his forehead. Then he remembered that Satsuki Kagaya was still inside. He smiled and said, I have many ways to destroy the moon. Then he clicked on another video. In the video, a thin old man with blue hair suddenly bulged his muscles in an extremely exaggerated way, with veins popping out. He shouted loudly, Kameha. Then, a white light wave suddenly shot out from his hand and flew straight to the moon in the sky. Then, the moon in the sky began to break into pieces. Obito and Black Zetsu widened their eyes in surprise again. They could not imagine that an old man who looked so frail would suddenly have his muscles bulge so exaggeratedly and destroy the moon with ease. Isn't it much gentler to destroy the moon this way? Xiao looked at Black Zetsu with a smile. Black Zetsu nodded excitedly. This way, the moon would just be shattered, and the old mother on the moon would definitely be able to come out. You can even ask the opponent to reduce his strength and attack multiple times to destroy the moon. Xiao added considerately. Black Zetsu was pleasantly surprised to hear this, as his mother's safety would be greatly guaranteed in this way. He quickly asked, Boss, how much does it cost to hire this old man? It would cost 20 billion taels to destroy the moon with one Kamehameha attack, and 40 billion taels with 2 attacks, Xiao said. Black Zetsu's breathing began to quicken. 40 billion taels. He never thought that only 40 billion taels would be enough to revive his mother. Boss, wait for me to make money. Black Zetsu said and ran out excitedly. Black Zetsu, what are you doing? Obito asked in confusion. He didn't understand what happened to Black Zetsu today. Why are you so excited after knowing that you can destroy the moon? Obito decided to talk to Black Zetsu sometime. Black Zetsu naturally heard Obito's question, but his top priority now is to earn 40 billion ryo as soon as possible and then resurrect his mother. Where is the time to care about Obito? Black Zetsu is so excited, screw Uchiha Madara, screw Uchiha Obito, screw Akatsuki, screw infinite Tsukuyomi. Now that he has a new goal, he naturally doesn't bother to pay attention to these people. After all, in Black Zetsu's eyes, both Madara and Obito are just pawns on his way to resurrect his mother. He has been annoyed with this group of self-righteous guys for years. If he didn't have to rely on them to implement his plan, he would have run away long ago. Black Zetsu looked up at the sky excitedly. Although it was daytime and the moon was not visible, he still said excitedly, "Mother, did you hear me? I will come to revive you soon." With that, Black Zetsu quickly dived underground, ready to start his money-making plan. "Ha ha ha! Mother! I'm here to save you!" Black Zetsu's voice suddenly became farther and farther away. Chapter 14. Inside the store. Xiao felt a little emotional when he heard Black Zetsu's words. Unexpectedly, Kagai's two biological sons believed the words of a toad, turned against their mother, and finally chose to seal their mother. On the contrary, Black Zetsu, who is the aunt's blood of Hikaru Uruaki, is extremely filial and has been plotting for more than 1,000 years to resurrect his mother. During this period, Indra and Ashura broke up and fooled the chakra reincarnations of the two brothers for several generations. He eventually targeted Uchiha Madara and successfully tricked him into believing that Black Zetsu was the embodiment of his will. Before Uchiha Madara died, he left the silly boy Obito to the care of Black Zetsu. Little did he know that he had been annoyed with Obito, the idiot, for years, and now that he knew other ways to revive his mother, Black Zetsu would naturally ignore them. Let these silly boys continue to indulge in the beautiful dream of infinite Tsukuyomi. When Obito heard Black Zetsu's voice, he was confused. What did Black Zetsu just say? Obito was in a mess. Wasn't Black Zetsu Madara's will? How could there be a mother? Could it be that Uchiha Madara still had some hidden tricks? Obito fell into deep thought. Xiao watched Black Zetsu leave with a smile on his face. He knew that Black Zetsu would not be able to hold back and would come with tens of billions. Xiao got excited just thinking about it. This was a huge order worth tens of billions. By then, he would get 40 million in commission alone. You can't blame Xiao for being so excited, because now after he leaves the store, he is just an ordinary person, and the Kusui system doesn't give him any discount, so he can only buy at the original price. Who would have thought that as the store manager, he would have to spend his own money to buy things in the store? Obito, who was in a daze, asked, "Sir, is there anything you need?" Obito then realized that he should forget about Black Zetsu for the time being, as the store manager in front of him was an incredible person. He even has world-destroying weapons. It's hard to imagine that such a person would be an ordinary businessman. Xiao found that Obito was silent, so he hinted, "Guest, as long as you have money, I can do anything. I can gain powerful strength, rejuvenate, and resurrect my deceased relatives and friends." Xiao deliberately emphasized the resurrection of relatives and friends. As expected, Obito's right eye widened when he heard that. His breathing began to become heavy, and after a while he raised his head and looked at Xiao. "Boss, is everything you said true?" Because he was too excited, Obito couldn't maintain Madara's voice. "Of course it's true, but resurrecting the dead is a heaven-defying act and requires a huge price," Xiao said. Obito naturally knew this. After all, the Rinnegan's Rine Tensei technique can resurrect the dead, but the caster will die. Obito lowered his head in disappointment. He had already begun to lose hope in Xiao, so he decided to just focus on planning Project Tsuki no Mi, but Xiao changed the subject. "You have to pay more." Disappointed Obito regained hope. "Boss, how much?" "It's a bit expensive, 20 billion taels." Xiao sighed. Xiao thought that Obito would be happy to make money like Black Zetsu, but that was not the case. Obito stood there quietly, not moving. Because he was wearing a mask, Xiao couldn't see his expression at the moment. Obito showed a conflicted look under the mask, because he knew clearly that it would take decades for him to earn 80 billion. However, his Project Tsuki no Mi has already started, and Obito believes that it will only take a few years for Project Tsuki no Mi to be completed. By then, opening the infinite Tsukuyomi, a world without pain can be created, which is what he and Madara have been pursuing. Obito was caught in a fierce ideological struggle. He was weighing whether to pursue the real Rin or immerse himself in the beautiful fantasy of Rin brought by infinite Tsukuyomi. Meanwhile, Xiao looked confused, not understanding what Obito was thinking. He couldn't help but wonder why Obito was just standing there stupidly, not moving. Could it be that he suddenly learned that he could resurrect Lin and was stunned by the huge surprise? After a long time, Obito suddenly raised his head and looked at Xiao coldly. No need, compared to this cruel ninja world, I prefer her to live in a beautiful world. Xiao was shocked by Obito's sudden words. Could it be that this silly boy was crushed stupid by the huge rock that hit his head? Xiao felt that it was true, otherwise how could he be fooled by Uchiha Madara? However, Uchiha Madara was also very careless and chose to unplug Ten Tails' oxygen tube. After his death, he left everything to Zetsu and Obito. Perhaps, Uchiha Madara felt that Black Zetsu was his will and Obito was his pawn, so he pulled out the oxygen tube without fear? Little did they know that Black Zetsu was actually the big boss behind the scenes, and Obito was just a traitor. If Yakushi Kabuto hadn't gotten hold of Madara's body during the ninja war, he might not have had the chance to appear. The plot at that time might be that when Obito is being talked out of his wits and is about to turn against his allies, Black Zetsu suddenly reveals his true feelings and resurrects Kaguya. Xiao felt that Black Zetsu was indeed the mastermind behind the scenes, as he had thought of many possible emergencies. The Hokage ninja can even be renamed Black Zetsu to save his mother. Seeing Xiao distracted, Obito was a little angry. Boss, don't you believe what I said? Xiao continued to be distracted. Obito was completely furious, and he shouted, I will create a perfect world without war. Obito shouted at the top of his lungs. Xiao scratched his ears subconsciously. What on earth is this silly boy doing? Obito was so angry when he saw Xiao's nonchalant look that his eyes twitched. The three megatama in his eyes spun wildly and soon turned into the Manjiki Sharingan. Xiao froze when he saw the Manjiki Sharingan. Obito saw Xiao's expression and thought he was shocked by his Sharingan. This is my capital to start Project Tsuki no Mi. Obito said confidently. Xiao was stunned. Of course, he was not frightened, but he was stunned by the system's words. A B-rank Manjiki Sharingan, single, has been detected. This system is willing to offer 100 million taels to purchase it. Please host negotiate with it. Xiao then realized that the system did not have any products from the Hokage world, and he had to purchase them all. No wonder the system has so many products from other worlds. It turns out that there are people like him who buy things from other worlds. Obito was still chattering about his project Tsuki no Mi, trying to trick Xiao, the big boss, into joining him. After all, Xiao already has a world-destroying weapon. If they get him to join their group, who in the entire ninja world can be their opponent? When Xiao came to his senses, he heard Obito babble non-stop. When Obito saw Xiao open his mouth, he was very excited. Could it be that the other party had already succumbed to his personal charm and was ready to join him? Are you selling your Manjiki Sharingan? Chapter 15. Are you selling your Manjiki Sharingan? Uchiha Obito. He talked for a long time about his grand ambitions, and his mouth was almost dry. He just wanted Xiao to join the Akatsuki organization. As a result, Xiao suddenly asked whether he wanted to sell his eyes. I sell Bull Demon. If Obito didn't think Xiao's strength was unfathomable, he would have pointed at Xiao's nose and scolded him. What did you just say? Obito asked in disbelief. Xiao thought Obito didn't hear clearly, so he slowed down his tone and said word by word, I say, are you going to sell your Manjiki Sharingan? Obito's face was gloomy, staring at Xiao intently. He felt that Xiao was playing tricks on him and looked down on his project Tsuki no Mi. Xiao had no idea what Obito was thinking, and he even said with a smile, I am willing to pay a high price of 100 million for your Manjiki Sharingan. Obito looked for a long time and it seemed that Xiao was not playing tricks on him and really wanted to buy his eyes. The corner of his mouth twitched under the mask. The young man in front of him was really a pure businessman. Seeing that Obito was unmoved, Xiao quickly said, 100 million is really a high purchase price. Obito was speechless, his Manjiki Sharingan was only worth 100 million? Not for sale. Xiao certainly knew that Obito would not sell it, but he was a little surprised. Why didn't Obito ask him about the resurrection? Brother, don't you have any deceased relatives or friends who need to be resurrected? Xiao tempted. Don't worry, boss. I have my own way. Bye. Obito said and turned to leave. Xiao was stunned. What kind of solution did Obito have? Was he going to let Nagato use Rain Tensei to resurrect Rin? How is this possible? Nagato didn't even resurrect Yahiko, so how could he resurrect Rin? Xiao suddenly thought of something. Could it be Infinite Tsukuyomi? This silly boy was fooled by Madara, and Madara was fooled by Black Zetsu. Infinite Tsukuyomi is a scam. Xiao asked why Obito swore so confidently that he had a solution. Seeing that Obito had already walked to the door, Xiao said calmly, Uchiha Obito. Actually, Infinite Tsukuyomi was tricked by Black Zetsu. Obito, who had walked to the door, froze when he heard this. He turned his head and looked at Xiao in disbelief, his eyes full of shock. How did the boss in front of him know his identity and Infinite Tsukuyomi? After a while, Uchiha Obito came back to his senses and looked at Xiao with a vicious look. It was obvious that he had the intention to kill. He walked up to Xiao, looked at the smiling boy, and asked coldly, "How do you know my identity?" Obito can guarantee that he has never revealed his identity. How did the boy in front of him know? Also, why did he say that Infinite Tsukuyomi was tricked by Black Zetsu? Xiao smiled and said, as written on the stone pillar, I am omniscient and omnipotent. Xiao is not bragging. He can exchange all the information in the world for money. But since he had seen the Hokage, he knew these things without spending any money. Obito narrowed his eyes. What did you mean when you said Infinite Tsukuyomi was fake? Xiao held up 5 fingers. This information is worth 500,000 taels. There was a whirlpool movement, and 500,000 taels appeared out of thin air on the counter. Xiao waved his hand and the money on the counter disappeared. Obito's eyes widened. He didn't expect that the boss in front of him also knew space-time ninjutsu. It all started thousands of years ago, when Tsutsuki Kagaya. 800 words omitted here. After listening to Xiao's explanation, Uchiha Obito's eyes widened and his face was full of disbelief. He suddenly fell to the ground, his body trembling slightly, and said in a hoarse voice, "It turns out that I am just a chess piece, haha." After learning the truth, Obito felt like the sky was falling. His waist, which had been bent all these years, finally broke at this moment. Haha. Infinite Tsukuyomi is fake. Uchiha Obito suddenly took off his mask, revealing his half-disfigured face. He looked so miserable under the mask, his eyes were full of despair and pain. Unexpectedly, he was deceived for so many years. He thought he had found a way to save the world, but now he finds out that everything was a lie. For this lie, he planned for so many years and even killed his teacher's wife, and many innocent people. And all of this is just for an illusory goal, Infinite Tsukuyomi. Thinking of this, Uchiha Obito couldn't help but burst into tears. He vaguely remembered himself when he was young, that sunny and optimistic boy. At that time, he dreamed of becoming Hokage one day and protecting the village and villagers he loved. But now, he has become an executioner with blood on his hands and the enemy of the entire ninja world. He didn't know how to face himself in this state, nor did he know how to make up for the mistakes he had made in the past. At this moment, Uchiha Obito finally understood that the Infinite Tsukuyomi he had been pursuing was not true salvation, but a complete scam. Xiao just watched silently. To be honest, this silly boy Obito was quite pitiful. Being fooled by Uchiha Madara's few words, the once sunny boy turned into a fool who was hostile to the world. It was unknown how long it took before Uchiha Obito stood up from the ground. With trembling hands, he gently wiped away his tears. Then, he bowed to Xiao and said, "Thank you, boss, for telling me the truth." Uchiha Obito's voice was full of gratitude, and this time the tone of his voice was no longer imitating Madara's low voice, but returned to his original voice. Xiao smiled and said, "So what are your plans now?" Obito raised his head, looked at Xiao and said seriously, "Boss, I want to atone for my previous wrongdoings. I want to revive my teacher and his wife." When Xiao heard this, he was immediately excited. It costs 20 billion to resurrect one person, 40 billion for two, and if Lin is included, it will be 60 billion. Damn, how much commission did he receive? Xiao laughed and patted Obito on the shoulder, praising him, "Good boy, it is a great virtue to correct one's mistakes." Obito quickly said respectfully, "Thank you for your teachings, boss." At this moment, Obito was full of awe for Xiao. In his eyes, Xiao was 100 times more powerful than the legendary Sage of Six Paths. Obito will be Xiao's big customer in the future. With his Manjiki Sharingan, burglary is not as easy as drinking water. Xiao suddenly remembered that Black Zetsu's penetrating ability was similar. Who would be able to detect it if he used it to rob a bank? In fact, Black Zetsu was already on his way to the bank just as Xiao had thought. Xiao happily hugged Obito's shoulders and said earnestly, "Young man, fortunately, there is still a chance to save everything. Although you are making money slowly now, but when the time comes, you should revive your teacher first. Based on the speed of the yellow flash, I believe it won't take long to revive your mistress." Chapter 16. Obito's eyes lit up when he heard that. This boss is truly a talented person. I have to say, the boss's idea is actually feasible. His teacher is the recognized yellow flash in the ninja world. With his flying thunder god, he can definitely make a lot of money by delivering takeouts. Obito said excitedly, "Thank you for the advice, boss. I'll take my leave now." As he said this, he bowed to Xiao again and left the shop. Obito is Xiao's big client, so naturally he has to give him a gift. Xiao stood at the door and said to Obito, "Young man, make money well and don't be cheated again." Obito nodded gratefully, and after leaving the store, he didn't rush to make money, but headed in the direction of Rain Shinobi village. He wanted to tell Nagato about this matter and couldn't let them make the same mistake again. Rain Shinobi village, Akatsuki base. Orochimaru was sitting on a futon with his eyes closed in meditation, and Biwachizo beside him was looking at Orochimaru in surprise. There was a faint light in Orochimaru's abdomen. Although the light was very faint, it was very obvious in the dark Akatsuki base. After a long time, Orochimaru finished his meditation and slowly opened his eyes. Biwachizo asked curiously, "Orochimaru-kun, what was that light in your abdomen just now?" After hearing what Biwachizo said, Orochimaru was surprised and asked, "Was there a light in my abdomen just now?" "Yes, there is a faint light." Biwachizo nodded. Orochimaru showed a look of ecstasy on his face and said with a smile, "He. I didn't expect that I have such a talent." As he spoke, he took out the Book of Immortality from his Taoist robe and began to read it. The book says this is a sign of spiritual energy entering the body. Orochimaru licked his lips excitedly, his eyes sparkling with excitement. Biwachizo looked at the book in Orochimaru's hand curiously and asked doubtfully, "The secret of immortality, corner." The red sand scorpion had already emerged from Philae Lake and was now sitting on the ground fiddling with his puppet. He was very satisfied with his work and could not help but nod and praise, "Only puppets are eternal art." An opposite to the red sand scorpion, Kakuzu was counting the 16 million taels in his hand, muttering, "When will the leader fulfill his promise to give me the 100 million taels?" He complained as he counted the money. "This is the money earned by the fire country, this is the money earned by the wind country." What's even more surprising is that Kakuzu actually remembered where all this pile of money came from. Hualala Kakuzu picked up the money and counted it again, as if counting it again would suddenly make the money more. Scorpion of the red sand heard the noise and glanced at Kakuzu calmly. He didn't know how many times Kakuzu had counted the money. His ears were almost calloused. Tap, tap, tap. Just then, Chief Pain and Konan walked into the room. Kakuzu saw Pain coming in and immediately stopped what he was doing. He couldn't wait to ask, "Chief, when will you deliver the 100 million taels you promised me?" Orochimaru, who was reading a book, raised his head and licked his lips. "Chief, here is my experiment fund." After saying that, Orochimaru lowered his head and continued reading. Pain had a blank expression on his face. He said calmly, "Don't worry. Everything will be all right." "Have you seen Zetsu today?" Konan asked. Everyone shook their heads. Who would care about that black pitcher plant? Konan saw everyone shaking their heads and felt strange. Zetsu, who was always available at any time, was not in Akatsuki today, as if he had evaporated from the face of the earth. And the guy who calls himself Madara is not here today either. I wonder what the two of them are secretly plotting. Tap, tap, tap. There was a sound of footsteps and everyone looked at each other, wondering why someone would come here. Everyone looked towards the door curiously, and saw a hedgehog-headed man with half of his face disfigured walking in. Everyone looked at the newcomer with vigilance. They didn't expect that someone would dare to come to their Akatsuki organization. It seemed that he was definitely a tough guy. Orochimaru was curious, why are there Uchiha people here? Pain stared at the person who came. Although Obito was not wearing a mask now, he still recognized him at a glance. "Afe?" Pain asked. Afei is Obito's name in the Akatsuki organization, but he has never appeared in public. Pain was curious why the man who called himself Uchiha Madara didn't hide himself today. Obito looked at Pain with complicated eyes. Nagato was much better than him. Although he was being used by himself, Nagato's goal was to collect all the tailed beasts and ultimately achieve the effect of military deterrence so that the major ninja villages would not dare to start a war at will. Obito was still laughing at Nagato's childish ideas at the time, not realizing that he was the clown. Pain, Project Tsuki no Mi is fake, I was used. Obito said bitterly. Hearing this, everyone looked at Obito curiously. Pain didn't say anything, just looked at Obito quietly, and after a long time he said, I know. Nagato has never approved of Madara's Project Tsuki no Mi, and the two of them just have a mutually beneficial relationship. Nagato even thought about turning against Madara after gathering all the tailed beasts. Obito was somewhat surprised to see the reactions of Pain and the others. Why weren't they shocked when they heard the news? When he found out, he felt like the sky was falling. And why are they so calm? Pain seemed to see what Obito was thinking. He said calmly, my goal has always been to achieve peace in the ninja world, it has never been Project Tsuki no Mi. Obito understood that he and Nagato were indeed in a relationship of mutual exploitation, and both sides were always wary of each other. Speaking of which, why did you all join the organization? Biwajo Zhang suddenly asked. I joined because I lacked a sense of belonging. Orochimaru put the book in his arms. The leader told me to give him the funds for the experiment, so I came here. Kakuzu grinned and said, the leader promised me 100 million if I joined the organization. The Red Sand Scorpion raised his head and said calmly, because I was bored, I wanted to come and take a look. Obito was speechless. He was worried that these guys would get deeper and deeper into the fake infinite Tsukuyomi. But he didn't expect that he was the only one in the entire Akatsuki organization who believed in Project Tsuki no Mi. Obito looked at the group of people, the corners of his mouth twitching wildly. In short, they are all insignificant people with no ambition. Obito looked at Pain and said seriously, although Project Tsuki no Mi is fake, there is a store on the border of the Land of Fire. You can go and have a look. It will be of great help to you in realizing your dream. Hearing this, Orochimaru and Kakuzu subconsciously turned their gazes towards Obito. They didn't expect that this guy had also met the boss. Biwajozu and Scorpion became interested when they saw Orochimaru and Kakuzu's reactions. Perhaps, all their secrets come from that shop. The two of them have secretly taken note of it and are planning to go and take a look sometime. Chapter 17. The Border of the Fire Nation. I understand. Pain said lightly. So what are your plans now? Konan asked curiously. Obito hesitated, I want to atone for the mistakes I made before. Neither Pain nor Konan expected Obito to say this. Is this still the same arrogant Madara as before? It seems that after going to that store, it became like this. Pain immediately became interested. What did the owner of the store say to Madara that caused such a huge change in him? I'm going to go and atone my sins first, see you all. As he said that, Obito's body began to disappear. Everyone was a little surprised. They didn't expect that this person actually mastered space ninjutsu. After Obito left, Konan looked at Pain beside him. Pain, what do we do now? Since he said that store can help us realize our ideals, let's go take a look. As he said that, Pain walked out of the base. Konan nodded and followed Pain. After the two left, Scorpion of the Red Sand suddenly put the puppet into the scroll, stood up and stretched, it's time to go out and move around. With that, Scorpion of the Red Sand left the organization. Biwajozo glanced at Orochimaru who was meditating, then looked at Kakuzu who was counting money in the distance. He suddenly covered his stomach and said, My stomach feels a little uncomfortable, I'll be back soon. As he said that, he ran out covering his stomach. At this point, Kakuzu and Orochimaru were the only ones left in the organization. Kakuzu stopped counting the money and looked up at Orochimaru. Orochimaru, why aren't you going? Orochimaru slowly opened his eyes, I don't have any money. Kakuzu's mouth twitched, Orochimaru practically spoke his mind. Even though he still has more than 18 million in his hands, it is still far from enough. He regretted joining Akatsuki organization, feeling that he was fooled by the leader. He had not seen a penny after 2 days in the organization. How about we go out and make some money? Kakuzu asked tentatively. Orochimaru heard this and nodded, that's exactly what I meant. He also felt that pain was just making empty promises for him. Instead of doing that, he would be better off going out with Kakuzu to earn some money. After all, although the things at Xiao were very good, they were ridiculously expensive. So, the two of them decided to go out and earn some extra money. Fire Country, Konoha Village. Third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen walked into the Hokage building with a pipe in his mouth and a big smile on his face. Today is such a good day. Today was the day to pay Anbu's salary, and as the Hokage, every time he went to the vault to get the money, he would pocket some of it for himself. After all, the Hokage has no other source of income besides that meager salary. It's impossible to let the Hokage go to the mission hall to accept missions like ordinary ninjas, right? Therefore, Sarutobi Hiruzen's income, apart from that meager salary, came from the small amount of money he embezzled every time he entered the treasury and the gifts given by the major families on a daily basis. However, what made Sarutobi Hiruzen unhappy was that among so many families in Konoha, only the Uchiha family did not give him gifts. And Hyuga, who is from another Ijutsu family, has given him many benefits. He has been in power for so many years, but the two patriarchs of the Uchiha clan have never given him a gift. The most abominable thing is that not only did he not give him any gifts, but he also acted like a big shot on a daily basis. Especially when the Nine Tails rebellion happened, the pair of Sharingans on Nine Tails' eyes were definitely done by the Uchiha clan. But they still refused to admit it, which made Sarutobi Hiruzen very angry, but for the peace of the village he could only swallow his anger. So, at the suggestion of his good friend Danzo, the Uchiha clan moved their land to the edge of the village. Hee, little money, here I come. Sarutobi Hiruzen opened the door of the vault with a smile. The heavy iron door of the vault slowly opened, and Sarutobi Hiruzen's eyes, which had been slightly narrowed, suddenly widened. When he checked yesterday, the money was still there. How come it was gone overnight? Ah! Sarutobi Hiruzen let out a sharp explosion. Sarutobi Hiruzen's shout echoed throughout the Hokage building, and the surrounding Anbu heard the sound and rushed over. As soon as they entered the room, they saw Sarutobi Hiruzen lying on the ground, shouting in grief, "Where's my money? Where did all this huge pile of money go? Anbu! Who on earth stole my money?" Sarutobi Hiruzen shouted in despair. The defense level of this vault is the highest. Logically, no one except him can open it. Even if you want to force it open, it is impossible to do it silently. No one can do it except for space-time ninjutsu. But in this ninja world, all those who know time-space ninjutsu should be dead. No matter who you are. Don't let me catch you! Sarutobi Hiruzen roared angrily. Soon, word of the theft in the Hokage's office reached Shimura-dan's ears. Root tissue. Shimura-dan's gloated, Hiruzen is really stupid. Even the vault was stolen. Let's see how he explains it to the daimyo. Shimura-dan's had already made up his mind that even if Hiruzen came to him and begged him on his knees, he would never lend Hiruzen a penny. If the daimyo knew about this, he would definitely blame Hiruzen for failing to guard him properly, and might even remove Hiruzen from his position as Hokage. Then it would be his turn as the Dark of Konoha to become Hokage. Shimura-dan's was excited at the thought, and he opened the safe of the Root organization. He has made a lot of money with the help of the organization over the years, and has at least 2 small goals. As for how much, he has not counted it carefully. He decided to open it now and count how much money there was. This is to prepare him to smooth out relationships and become Hokage in the future. Crunch! The door of the safe opened and Shimura-dan's smile froze on his face. The safe that was supposed to be filled with banknotes is now empty, not even a single hair can be seen. Shimura-dan's blood pressure soared in an instant. Who is it? That BD. Shimura-dan's cursed. All of you, go check it now. Even if you have to dig deep into the ground, you must get my money back. Yes. Upon hearing this, the people at the Root hurriedly left the Root. Shimura-dan's was nearly mad enough to faint. He now finally understood how Hiruzen felt at that time. He couldn't understand what kind of thief was so bold as to come to Konoha and steal his money. No matter who you are, don't let me catch you. Shimura-dan's gritted his teeth. If the Root who passed on the information was there, he would definitely be surprised because Danzo said exactly the same thing as Hiruzen. Outside Konoha village. In a dark cave. Hey, tens, hundreds, thousands and millions. A dark figure was counting money. Unexpectedly, he earned 1 billion taels in just one night. As expected of Konoha village, it's rich. Black Zetsu made $1 billion just by going to 2 insurance pants. If he hadn't moved it one by one, he would definitely have earned more. Looks like I have to trick that stupid boy Obito over here. Black Zetsu muttered. Chapter 18. The Fire Nation Border. Is this the place? Pain murmured. His eyes were attracted by the big words written on the stone pillar, omniscient and omnipotent, with everything. I wonder if there is any way to achieve peace in the ninja world. As he said this, Pain walked towards the store. Conan quickly followed Pain's footsteps. Inside the store. I wonder how long it will take Obito and Black Zetsu to make that much money. Xiao murmured. However, he felt that with their abilities, it would be easy to make so much money quickly. One has a bug-like mangeki, and the other can pass through any object at will. For these two people, making money is as easy as drinking water. It is just a matter of time. Tap, tap, tap. Someone walked into the store. Xiao heard the voice and turned his head to look, his eyes suddenly widened. Oh shit, why are Pain and Conan here? Xiao quickly stepped forward and said cheerfully, do you two need anything? Pain looked at Xiao in front of him curiously and found that he was just an ordinary boy, nothing special about him. AB and grade Rinnegan has been detected. Please ask the host if they are interested in selling it. The purchase price is 150 million taels. The system's voice suddenly sounded. Xiao's mouth twitched. Is there any need to ask this? How could Nagato sell it? But he still asked, are you selling your Rinnegan? Pain was stunned for a moment. He didn't expect Xiao to ask him such a question. Conan behind him looked at Xiao with an incredible look. Xiao felt Conan's gaze and scratched his head in embarrassment. Don't look at me like that, I'm willing to pay 150 million taels to buy it. Conan's mouth twitched, didn't she expect the Rinnegan to be so worthless? Not for sale. Pain shook his head. Xiao nodded. He knew the other party would say that. It would be a miracle if it could be sold. He smiled and said, do you two need anything? I have everything here. Everything? Conan asked in surprise. She didn't believe Xiao's words from the bottom of her heart. How could there be everything? Pain also subconsciously looked at Xiao, he also felt that Xiao was bragging. Seeing that the two did not believe him, Xiao patted his chest and assured them, you can ask for anything you want. As long as the money is in place, we will help you solve any problem. Pain and Conan looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. After a while, Pain asked tentatively, do you have equipment to capture the tailed beast? Xiao smiled and said, of course, you wait. As he spoke, he walked to a counter and took out a black square box. Pain was just asking casually, he didn't expect the other party actually had it, so he came closer out of curiosity. Xiao opened the box and found a red and white round sphere inside. This is a poke ball. It can hold the tailed beasts in the ball. Xiao said as he took the poke ball in his hand. The two looked at the poke ball in Xiao's hand with curiosity. They didn't expect that such a small thing could seal the tailed beast. Do you want to buy it? Xiao asked. How much? Not expensive, 5 million taels per piece. Pain nodded. 5 million taels was indeed not expensive for something that could seal the tailed beasts. I want 9. Xiao was overjoyed. Finally, a big customer came. He quickly took out 8 more pokeballs and placed them on the counter. Conan took out a scroll and handed it to Xiao. After confirming that it was correct, he put it into the system space. Both of them were somewhat shocked by Xiao's methods. It seemed that the boss in front of them was not an ordinary person. After all, ordinary people wouldn't dare to ask him to buy his Rinnegan in front of him. Xiao rubbed his hands excitedly and said cheerfully, do you two need anything else? Pain hesitated for a moment before saying, boss, do you have a weapon that can bring world peace? What the hell? Nuclear war? Xiao asked the system in his mind and got a positive answer, of course there is. As he spoke, Xiao waved his hand in the air, and then a blue screen appeared. Xiao pressed the play button and saw on the screen an extremely huge missile falling rapidly from the sky, like the coming of Judgment Day. Accompanied by a flash of dazzling white light, a huge mushroom cloud suddenly rose above the prosperous city below in the blink of an eye. The horrific aftermath of the explosion spread outward at an alarming speed, affecting an area of thousands of kilometers. As the billowing smoke and dust gradually dissipated, the once prosperous and bustling city had turned into a desolate ruin. Pain's eyes widened as he stared at the city in the picture in disbelief, his heart filled with shock and fear. This city, which was so large that it was comparable to the entire Fire Nation, was reduced to a lifeless ruin in a short period of time. The two people's worldviews seemed to have suffered an unprecedented shock. They could not understand how this world could possess such a terrifying power. Such a powerful weapon was beyond their imagination. When the video ended, the two were still in deep shock and it took them a long time to recover. Xiao explained softly, "This is a three-phase bomb. Not only is the explosion extremely powerful, but the aftermath of the explosion will also cause radiation contamination wherever it is affected. This type of radiation is extremely harmful to the human body. Once infected, life begins to count down, and the remaining days are numbered." Xiao felt that this three-phase bomb should be able to meet the nuclear level requirements of the Nagato world, right? After all, if a three-phase bomb is launched, half of the ninja world will be finished. After hearing Xiao's explanation, the two looked at him with fear. How could the boss in front of them say such horrifying words in such a calm tone? Xiao saw that the two were silent and thought that they felt that the power of the three-phase bomb was too weak. He went on to say, "Do you think the power is too weak? Don't worry, I have a more powerful weapon." As he said this, he was about to click on another video. Pain and Conan were completely dumbfounded. There were actually more powerful weapons. How powerful does this weapon have to be? After the two of them realized what was happening, they quickly stopped Xiao and said, "Boss, wait a minute." Xiao stopped what he was doing and asked curiously, "Do you have any questions? Don't they like this kind of radioactive weapon?" Xiao was ready to introduce other weapons to them. The two were speechless. What else was the problem? This was a huge problem. Let's not talk about whether they can afford it or not. Even if they can afford it, will they dare to use it after buying it? Chapter 19. Don't you like weapons with radiation? Xiao said, "I have other types of weapons here." Pain's head was shaking like a rattle. "Boss, I think this is too powerful." Xiao finally reacted. He had always thought that the other party felt that the power was not enough, but he didn't expect that it was more than enough. He smiled and said, "I also have less powerful ones." As he spoke, Xiao played another video. In the video, a warhead that was much smaller than a three-phase bullet fell from the sky. After the warhead landed, it emitted a dazzling white light, and a black mushroom cloud rose up. The area of more than 20 kilometers around the explosion center was instantly turned into ruins. The aftermath only affected more than 100 kilometers before stopping. This is a nuclear bomb. What do you think? Is its power much smaller? Xiao said with a smile. Pain. What is the difference between this and the three-phase bomb just now? Oh, the difference is indeed quite big, because the power of the explosion is reduced by more than 10 times. With this nuclear bomb, everyone in the ninja village will be turned into ashes in an instant. To be honest, Pain was a little tempted. After all, if he just destroyed one village, the other villages would naturally be afraid after seeing the power of the nuclear bomb and would not dare to start a war. Although a village was sacrificed, it brought peace to the entire ninja world. Anyway, peace in the ninja world and nuclear peace in the ninja world have the same pronunciation. As long as there is world peace, why do you care whether it is peace or nuclear? Pain felt that this was much more convenient than collecting all the tailed beasts, and that they were also more powerful than the tailed beasts. After all, catching the tailed beasts would require making enemies of all the ninja villages, which is a thankless task. Even if it succeeds in the end, the effect will not be as great as nuclear weapons. Seeing that Pain was moved, Conan wanted to dissuade him, "Pain." But she swallowed the words back. Because this is a way to achieve peace in the ninja world. Although it may be a little cruel and require sacrificing a ninja village, the effect is definitely significant. Xiao smiled and looked at the two of them and said, "You two, what do you think of this nuclear bomb?" Pain nodded silently to show his approval, and then asked directly about the price, "Boss, how much does this nuclear bomb cost?" They started asking about the price straight away, and it was obvious that they were interested. Xiao suppressed his excitement and said with a smile, "One nuclear bomb costs 10 billion. After hearing the price, they fell silent for a moment. They knew nuclear bombs would be expensive, but they didn't expect them to be that expensive. But when you think about the fact that this is a weapon that can bring world peace, it's only natural that the price is beyond reason. However, they still feel embarrassed when faced with such a high price. After all, the wealth accumulated by their Akatsuki organization over the years is less than 1 billion, which is only equivalent to 1/10 of a nuclear bomb. Add to that the experimental fees promised to Orochimaru and Kakuzu's joining fee, and it would be a huge expense. Otherwise, Pain would have given them the money long ago and wouldn't have waited so long. As a result, the two of them often said behind his back that he was just making empty promises. Now he finally understood why Kakuzu and Orochimaru always asked him for money. It turned out that things here in Xiao were so expensive. Xiao saw that the two were troubled by the price and was afraid that they would give up, so he quickly encouraged them, "It's only 10 or 20 billion. With your ability, I believe you can earn it in a few years." Seeing the two looking at him, he continued, "The future peace of the ninja world depends on you. Isn't this your dream all along? Now you can realize your dream with just money, what are you still hesitating about? Go make money quickly. The money in this world is limited. If you don't make money now, what will you do if all the money is taken away by others in the future?" After hearing Xiao's words, the two finally reacted. Pain quickly said, "The boss is right, Konan, let's go." Obviously, the two have been brainwashed by Xiao. "Wait a minute!" Xiao shouted hurriedly. The two people who had just walked to the door stopped and looked at Xiao curiously. Xiao smiled and said, "Dragging a disabled body to make money will affect your efficiency." Nagato. Rain Shinobi Village. Somewhere in the Akatsuki base. Nagato, who was controlling Pain, suddenly widened his eyes. He didn't expect that the boss actually knew his true identity. Few people knew his identity, and he didn't think Madara would tell the boss about it. He murmured, "This boss is simply unfathomable." Inside the store, Konan's eyes sparkled with excitement when she heard this. She asked in a trembling voice, "Boss, can you cure Nagato's body?" After knowing how powerful this mysterious boss was, Konan subconsciously used honorifics to show his respect for him. Xiao smiled slightly, "Of course." Then he walked to the counter, reached out and touched it lightly, and then took out a device that looked like a hibernation capsule. The device looks very high-tech, with a metallic luster on the surface, and the interior seems to be filled with various complex instruments and equipment. Seeing this huge object suddenly appear, the two opened their mouths in shock. They really couldn't understand how Xiao could hide such a huge object in that small counter. Seeing the two people's inexperienced looks, Xiao smiled and explained, "This is a treatment cabin. Just lie in it and it will automatically repair your body damage." Hearing this, Konan quickly looked at Pain and said anxiously, "Nagato, let's go and bring your real body." When she learned that Nagato's body could be cured, Konan was so excited. Because he saved her, Yahiko died and Nagato's legs became disabled. This incident has always made Konan feel guilty, and she thinks that all this was caused by her. So after Yahiko died, Nagato chose to turn evil. Nagato's ideals are contrary to Yahiko's original ideals, but Konan did not stand up to stop him, but silently supported Nagato's decision. Since Nagato's legs were crippled, his chakra was not only supplied to the Gedo statue, but also to Pain's 6 paths. As a result, he has been lacking chakra, and over time his body has become very skinny. Konan feels sad every time he sees this. But fortunately, Nagato's body has the possibility of recovery. How could this not excite Konan? She was eager to heal Nagato's body. Pain saw Konan's excitement and nodded, "Okay." With that, the two left the shop and headed to Rain Shinobi Village as quickly as possible. Xiao looked at the two people leaving and sighed, "Am I considered a master of dreams in the Hokage world?" Suddenly, Xiao saw some movement in the bushes on both sides. Two sneaky figures were rushing towards his shop. Chapter 20. Two figures suddenly jumped out from the bushes on both sides. They looked at each other and were stunned on the spot. "Why do you run so far to go to the toilet?" Scorpion of the Red Sand said with a smile. "Haha, I think the toilets in the Fire Nation are cleaner." Biwajozo laughed awkwardly. Xiao. He was completely confused, he had no idea what Biwajozang was talking about. The toilets in the Fire Nation are so damn clean. Scorpion of the Red Sand just chuckled and said, "Okay, let's go in and take a look." Then he walked towards the store. Biwajozang scratched his head awkwardly and quickly followed. Xiao, who was standing at the door, saw the two people coming and gave a professional fake smile, "Welcome, both of you." As he said that, Xiao moved aside to let the two people in. The two were shocked when they looked at the dazzling array of goods around them. They had never seen anything here before. You two, please let us know if you have any requests. Our store has whatever you want. Xiao said with a smile. Hearing this, Zhang looked at Xiao curiously. Boss, do you have any powerful weapons here? Detecting the C and grade beheading broadsword, please ask the host if the other party is interested in selling it. This system is willing to spend 3 million taels to purchase it. After being rejected twice before, Xiao now knows how to increase the probability of a successful acquisition, which is to come up with better weapons than his. Of course. Xiao showed a mysterious smile, turned around and walked behind the counter and started searching. After a moment, he took out a scarlet sword with a blood-red gem inlaid on the handle. The blade flashed with cold light, as if it could devour all life. This weapon is called the Blood Demon Blade. It is made of a rare ore called blood iron ore, which only exists very deep underground and in very small quantities. After being carefully crafted by our blacksmith shop, this blood demon knife has a special ability. Once it cuts the skin, the wound will not heal, no matter what treatment method is used. Xiao's voice was low and full of temptation, as if he was showing Zhang a priceless treasure. However, Zhang was not as excited as Xiao imagined. Instead, he shook his head repeatedly with a look of fear on his face. This knife is too cruel. I can't use such a weapon. Xiao's mouth twitched when he saw this, but he quickly regained his composure. He shook his head helplessly, put the blood demon knife back on the counter, and then took out a dozen weapons of various types and placed them on the counter. Each weapon has a unique appearance and function. Some can release powerful forces, while others can change their forms, which is dazzling. Xiao introduced the characteristics and effects of these weapons one by one. Zhang was stunned and swallowed subconsciously. He had never seen such magical weapons, these weapons were simply beyond his comprehension. Seeing that Zhang didn't react, Xiao asked, "Don't you like any of them?" "Don't worry, I have others here," Xiao said as he prepared to get other weapons. Seeing this, Zhang hurriedly spoke out to stop him, "Don't. Boss, I'm just asking casually." Zhang thinks Xiao's weapon is too terrifying. The weapons on the counter looked like monsters, and the aura they emitted made him feel creepy. Although he was a rebel ninja, he was not an unforgivable criminal. He felt that these weapons were not suitable for him. Xiao nodded but said nothing. After all, if they don't want to buy it, you can't force them, right? Zhang subconsciously touched the beheading sword behind him. He felt that the beheading sword was most suitable for him. Seeing that Zhang had lost the desire to buy, Xiao looked at the red sand scorpion beside him. "Customer, is there anything you need? Do you have eternal art here?" Scorpion of the red sand suddenly asked. Xiao looked at Scorpion carefully and found that Scorpion of the red sand had turned himself into a puppet. This surprised him a little, but at the same time he also understood Scorpio's pursuit of eternal art. "You made yourself into a puppet just to pursue eternity?" Xiao asked. Scorpion's pupils shrank suddenly. He didn't expect that the boy in front of him actually knew about this. He was silent for a moment, then nodded in agreement. Xiao smiled and said, "I think there is something that is quite suitable for you now." As he spoke, he took out a robot from the counter. Scorpion of the red sand looked at the robot with curiosity. He didn't know what this iron lump was. Was it a new type of puppet? "Flesh and blood are weak, but machinery can soar," Xiao said with a smile, then disassembled the robot to reveal the metal structure inside. He explained to Scorpion, "Since your body is already a puppet, I suggest you install a mechanical body directly on top of the original one. This material can guarantee that it will not rust for 10,000 years, and because it is not flesh, you will never die as long as the master brain is not damaged. In this way, you will not only achieve eternity, but also possess greater powers and abilities." After hearing Xiao's words, a hint of shock flashed in the eyes of the red sand scorpion. He didn't expect that the boss had such a thing. But he still asked with some doubt, "Boss, is this technology reliable? Will there be any side effects?" Xiao patted his chest and answered confidently, "Don't worry, this technology is very mature and there will be absolutely no problems." Scorpion of the red sand fell into deep thought, weighing the pros and cons. Finally, he decided to accept Xiao's advice. After all, he has paid too much in the pursuit of eternity and doesn't want to miss any more opportunities. So he nodded and said to Yung Xiao, "Okay, I'm willing to give it a try." Yun Xiao smiled and agreed, "No problem, but the price is 30 million taels." Scorpion of the Red Sand nodded, then took out a scroll and handed it to Yung Xiao. After the system checked everything, Yun Xiao said happily, "Then let's get started. But before that, I need to do some checks and assessments on your body to determine the most suitable mechanical body solution for you." As he spoke, Yung Xiao waved his hand gently. Following his movement, the surrounding counters suddenly began to sink, as if being swallowed by the earth, disappearing without a trace. Then, a white workbench slowly rose from the ground and appeared in front of the people. "Lie down, this is a fully automatic transformation instrument." The Red Sand Scorpion nodded slightly and lay down on it without any hesitation. When Scorpion of the Red Sand lay down, the transformation instrument started immediately, making a slight buzzing sound. It began to quickly scan the Scorpion's entire body, collecting various physiological data. At the same time, a black glass cover slowly descended, completely covering the Scorpion and forming a closed space. It's impossible to see what's inside. Then, under Biwajozu's horrified gaze, the instrument sank into the ground. "It's over, it's completely over." Biwajozang felt that Red Sand Scorpion might have been fooled by his boss, and he might have been screwed by now. Thinking of this, he looked at Yung Xiao in fear and subconsciously took a few steps back. Chapter 21. Biwajozo swallowed his saliva. He had just clearly seen that the moment the lid fell, Scorpion fell into coma instantly. He felt that Scorpion had been cheated by his boss. Not only did he spend 30 million taels, but he also lost his life. Biwajozang looked at Yung Xiao's back. He silently grasped the hilt of the beheading sword, wanting to suddenly attack Yung Xiao and catch him off guard. But seeing Yung Xiao full of flaws, Biwajozang hesitated. Damn it! This person was clearly full of flaws, but Biwajozang felt that if he dared to attack, he would be killed in seconds. Biwajozang finally gave up the idea of taking action. He felt that Yung Xiao in front of him was too powerful. "The transformation takes time, please wait a moment." Yung Xiao turned around and said. Yung Xiao suddenly turned around, which scared Biwajozang. He thought Yung Xiao was going to attack him. Hearing Yung Xiao's words, Biwajozang secretly complained, "The Red Sand Scorpion's body may be hollowed out now." If Yung Xiao knew what he was thinking, he would definitely give him a thumbs up and praise him, so smart. In fact, Scorpion had already taken out his internal organs, leaving only his heart. Now the transformation is to replace all his flesh, blood and bones with mechanical ones. "Do you need anything else besides cold weapons?" Yung Xiao asked with a smile. Little did he know that in Biwajozang's eyes, Yung Xiao's smile was like the smile of a devil. He felt that Yun Xiao just wanted to trick him and put himself into the metal instrument, and then there would be no more for him. Thinking of this, Biwajozang quickly shook his head. No. I don't need anything." Yung Xiao was a little disappointed. He thought Biwajozang had no money. He patted Biwajozang's shoulder and sighed, "Alas, you are already an adult, it's time to save some money so that you can marry a wife and live a good life." Hearing this, Biwajozang widened his eyes in horror. He didn't expect that the boss in front of him not only knew that he had no money, but also knew that he had no wife. Biwajozo's legs began to tremble with fear, and he felt that he had no privacy in front of Yung Xiao. Biwajoyo secretly greeted Obito's family hundreds of times. Damn it! It was all that Dama Uchiha's fault. If it weren't for the few words he said before leaving, which aroused his interest and made him curious about this place, he would never have come here. Now Scorpion's life or death is unknown, and he is being closely watched by his boss, without even a chance to escape. He now finally understood why the leader and Konan ran so fast at the door just now. At that time, he was still curious, why were the two running so fast? It turned out that they sensed the danger. But he stupidly followed Scorpion into the store, which was simply like turning on a light in the toilet. He was looking for death. Thinking of this, Biwajozang wanted to slap himself a few times. This is really curiosity killing the cat. He had made up his mind that if he was lucky enough to survive this time, he would never be curious again in his life. Yung Xiao watched Biwajozang's face turn pale and blue, and cold sweat kept dripping down his face. "Are you okay?" Yung Xiao asked with concern. He remembered that the original book didn't mention that Biwajozo had any health problems. He looked at Biwajozang's pale face and fell into deep thought. Biwajozang found that Yung Xiao was staring at him, and he was almost scared to death. Does this boss not want to act anymore? Does he want to use force directly? Is his life going to end here? Biwajozang should have known long ago that how could someone who could forge that kind of blood demon sword be a good person? Biwajozo closed his eyes, preparing to face death. He hoped Yung Xiao would act faster so that he wouldn't suffer too much pain. Just as Yung Xiao was about to ask, the transformation instrument suddenly rose up. Yung Xiao was stunned. I didn't expect it to be so fast. Yung Xiao said as he opened the cover of the instrument. When Biwajozang heard the noise, he subconsciously opened his eyes. When he saw clearly what was on the instrument, he was so scared that he collapsed to the ground. Devil, this is simply a devil. Biwajozang said in horror. On the instrument, I saw that the body of the red sand scorpion was divided into several pieces. Biwajozo never expected that the boss would actually dismember Scorpion. Yung Xiao's mouth twitched. It seemed that this automatic instrument was not so omnipotent. After the transformation, the scorpion was not assembled properly and he was asked to assemble it himself. Yung Xiao then picked up the tools and prepared to put the body of the red sand scorpion together. At this time, the body of the red sand scorpion had been completely transformed into a machine, full of densely packed parts and no flesh and blood. When Biwajozang saw Yung Xiao's actions, he was so frightened that his eyes turned black and he fainted. He didn't expect Yung Xiao to be so perverted that he wouldn't even let go of the corpse of the red sand scorpion. Yung Xia didn't notice Biwajozang's reaction. He looked at the scorpion lying on the instrument and asked, "How do you feel?" The red sand scorpion carefully felt the changes in his body and said with a smile, "It feels very strange." Scorpion felt that his body had never felt so good. Yung Xiao took the scorpion's head and placed it on his body. "That'll do." After the scorpion's head was attached to its body, it turned its head and it felt no different from usual. Yung Xiao picked up the scorpion's leg and gestured, "This leg is a little troublesome to assemble, please wait a moment." At this moment, Biwajozang, who had fallen into a coma, slowly woke up. He tried hard to open his heavy eyelids, and his blurry vision gradually became clear. However, when he saw the scene clearly, he was so scared that he almost screamed. Yung Xiao was seen holding one of the scorpion's broken legs and waving it in the air, as if he was playing with an interesting toy. Biwajozang's heart almost jumped out of his throat, but he reacted quickly and covered his mouth with his hand, fearing that any sound would attract Yung Xiao's attention. Biwajozang found that Yung Xiao's attention was completely focused on the scorpion leg in his hand and he didn't notice his awakening, which made him feel a little relieved. Carefully, he began to crawl towards the door, trying not to make any noise. As he fell to the ground just now, the beheading sword on his back also slipped off. At this moment, Biwajozang was only thinking about escaping from this dangerous place as soon as possible and had no time to care about his beloved sword. Biwajozang knew very well that if he didn't seize this rare opportunity to sneak away, once Yung Xiao discovered him, his life would be over. In all his years as a ninja, he had never been as embarrassed as he was today. Biwajozang crawled forward cautiously, and he looked back at Yung Xiao every once in a while, for fear that he would discover his movements. Seeing him getting closer and closer to the door, the joy in my heart was indescribable. Finally, he was almost at the door, tears of excitement welling up in his eyes. "I'm finally going to escape from this horrible place," he cheered silently in his heart. Suddenly, a person walked in at the door. Chapter 22. Biwajozo, what are you doing? The speaker was Pain, who was carrying Nagato back. When Biwajozo saw Pain coming, his eyes suddenly became moist. He asked in a trembling voice, Chief, are you here to save me?" At this moment, Pain was like a god in Biwajozo's eyes. Pain was confused. What happened to this guy? Biwajozang rolled and crawled to Pain's feet and hugged Pain's thighs. "Woo. Chief, you finally came to save me. Scorpion was killed by that boss." The red sand scorpion on the instrument sat up in confusion. When was he killed? Yun Xiao was also confused. When did he become a murderer? Nagato on Pain's back subconsciously looked towards Yung Xiao, and saw the two men looking at them in confusion. Nagato looked speechlessly at Biwajozo, who was crying at his feet. The corner of his mouth twitched. What on earth had provoked this guy? "Nagato, why don't you go in?" Just then, Konan came over. Nagato said nothing, just stared at Biwajozu at his feet. Konan followed Nagato's gaze and saw Biwajozu crying on the ground. What happened to him? Konan was curious. How could the usually steady Biwajozu become like this? Hearing Konan's voice, Biwajozang quickly raised his head and said in fear, "Let's go quickly, the owner of this store is not only terribly strong, but also a super pervert." Nagato and Konan looked at each other and saw the confusion in each other's eyes. They couldn't figure out what Biwajozu had experienced. Then, the two looked at Xiao and Red Sand Scorpion curiously. Xiao. Xiao felt like 1,000 alpacas were running wildly through his heart, saying that he was very powerful. This shows that Biwajozang does have good vision, but why the hell do we say he is a pervert? And he is a super big pervert. Do I really look like a pervert? Xiao said, taking out a mirror from somewhere. Well, with his sharp eyebrows and eyes, he is extremely handsome. He is definitely 1/10 as handsome as you, the reader. Xiao said with emotion. He really couldn't understand why someone with such a handsome appearance would be called a pervert. Jozo, what are you doing? Scorpion of the Red Sand asked curiously. Because of his interference, the Scorpion of the Red Sand still had one leg not installed, so he could only sit up and ask. When Biwajozang heard the voice of the Red Sand Scorpion, he quickly looked in the direction of the voice. "You are not dead." As he said that, Biwajozu ran up to Scorpion of the Red Sand with a look of surprise on his face. "Didn't I say it before? Help him transform his body." Xiao sighed and held his forehead. He finally understood that this guy had misunderstood him. He said that he was so handsome, how could he be a pervert? Biwajozang scratched his head awkwardly. "It turns out that I misunderstood. In fact, it's not his fault." The scene of Xiao holding the Scorpion's leg just now was just too horrifying. Any normal person would be scared when seeing it. "Boss, when can you heal Nagato's body?" Konan asked expectantly. "Right away, give me 2 minutes." As he said that, he picked up the Scorpion's other leg and put it on. This is a professional disassembly tool. Without this tool, it is impossible to dismantle your body. Xiao was afraid that Scorpion would think this was a shoddy project, so he hurriedly explained. Hearing this, Scorpion, who was originally a little worried, suddenly breathed a sigh of relief. He was afraid that in the future, his limbs would suddenly be blown off while he was fighting. Biwajozang asked curiously, "Scorpion, how do you feel now?" "Nothing." Biwajozang poked the Scorpion's body curiously. "It really is mechanical." Soon, the mechanical Red Sand Scorpion was completely completed. He clenched his fists tightly, feeling the unprecedented powerful force surging in his body, and was extremely excited. Scorpion's mind moved, and blue flames suddenly erupted from the soles of his feet. He then flew up into the air like a rocket. This scene left Biwajozou below stunned. He could hardly believe his eyes. It turned out that the mysterious shop owner did not deceive him, but really gave Scorpion a brand new and more powerful body. The Red Sand Scorpion adjusted to his new body in the air, a satisfied smile appeared on his face, and he nodded and praised, "This is indeed much stronger than the previous puppet body." Of course. Although you have changed your body, you can still use chakra freely. Xiao explained with a smile. After hearing this, Scorpion immediately tried it. Several transparent chakra lines appeared in his hands instantly, as thin and tough as spider silk. Biwajozou widened his eyes, looking at the chakra line in Scorpion's hand, and couldn't help but sigh, "This is too amazing." "Boss, can we treat Nagato's body now?" Konan saw that it was almost done, so he asked again. "Of course." Xiao opened the door of the treatment cabin and motioned Nagato to lie down in. Nagato controlled pain and carried him to the treatment cabin. "FK, Chief, where did you steal this skeleton from?" Biwajozang exclaimed. At this time, Nagato was not only skinny, but also had black sticks stuck all over his body, making him look particularly creepy. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's a skeleton. Nagato's mouth twitched when he heard that, but he ignored Biwajozu and looked at Scorpion of the Red Sand. "Scorpion, help me pull out the black stick from your body." The Red Sand Scorpion nodded, "Understood, Chief." As the black sticks on Nagato's body were pulled out one by one, Tendo Pain, who was originally controlled by him, lost control and collapsed to the ground. Scorpion helped Nagato lie down in the treatment cabin. Xiao immediately closed the cabin door upon seeing this. As the cabin door closed, a green liquid began to be released from the treatment cabin, filling the entire space. Nagato lay in the treatment cabin, feeling the warm liquid wrapping around his body, and an unprecedented sense of comfort surged in his heart. Over the years, he has been carrying the huge burden of the Gedo statue and the 6 paths of pain, and his body has long been hollowed out. Luckily, he was from the Uzumaki clan, and had a lot of chakra and a strong life force, which allowed him to last so many years. If it were someone else, they would have died due to chakra depletion. "Chief, what's wrong with you?" Biwajozo couldn't help but exclaimed as he looked at Pain lying motionless on the ground. There was an anxious look on his face, and he had no idea what was going on. The red sand scorpion on the side snorted coldly, speechless at Biwajozo's reaction. "Idiot!" The first time Scorpion saw Nagato, he knew that Nagato was the real leader of Akatsuki, and that Pain was just a puppet controlled by Nagato. With Biwajozang's intelligence, he finally understood why he had misunderstood the boss just now. Chapter 23. Could it be that the person inside is the leader? Biwajozo looked at Pain on the ground, then looked at Nagato in the cabin, and only then did he react belatedly. Everyone ignored Biwajozo and looked at Nagato's situation curiously. Under everyone's shocked gaze, Nagato's shriveled body was actually slowly recovering. Even his broken legs were slowly recovering. "Boss, what is this?" Biwajozang pointed at the numbers that kept jumping next to the treatment cabin with a curious look on his face. Hearing this, everyone looked in the direction of his finger out of curiosity. "Indeed, I found that the number above is jumping rapidly, and now it has reached more than 500. This is the price you need to pay. Now you have to pay 5 million taels." Xiao said with a smile. Several people widened their eyes in shock. They didn't expect the price of this treatment cabin to be so expensive. "How long has it been and I have to pay 5 million? Well, now the number above has reached 700. Konan didn't react. Although the price was expensive, it was still within her affordability. When Biwajozang heard this, he looked at Xiao in disbelief. "It's so expensive. Boss, why don't you go and rob it?" Xiao spread his hands indifferently. "What do you think I'm doing now?" Because Xiao was indeed snatching, he originally wanted to exchange the senzu beans for Nagato. But he felt that senzu beans were too buggy. Not only did they have amazing healing effects, but they were also super cheap. After much thought, he decided that this treatment cabin was more cost-effective, as the treatment cabin charges by the second. In this way, Nagato's body was cured and he also made a lot of money. It was a win-win situation. It would be nice if the price of senzu beans could be raised a little, Xiao thought. "Host, since the cat fairy's beans were taken away by a fat man named Yajirobe to eat, there are almost no beans left. The cat fairy said that the magic beans are almost out of print and cannot be bred in a short period of time. This system has temporarily decided to change the price of senzu beans from 500,000 taels per bean to 10 million taels per bean." Xiao. He was just thinking about it in his mind, but he didn't expect the price to actually go up. "What a sin, what a sin!" Xiao murmured. From then on, the indigenous people of the ninja world could no longer eat cheap senzu beans. All this is to blame on a fat man named Yajirobe. Dragon Ball World. The cat fairy buried his head in the jar and said, "No more, not a single one is left." The cat immortal wanted to cry but had no tears. He looked angrily at the fat man sleeping on the ground beside him. "Ahole, you actually ate all my senzu beans." Hearing the roar of the cat immortal, the fat man just scratched his butt, turned over and continued to sleep soundly. Upon seeing this, the cat immortal simply lay on the ground, looking at the azure blue sky, tears welling up in his eyes. "Meow, without senzu beans, what shall I do with my dried fish? FK, it's so expensive." The number on the treatment cabin made Biwajozang jump with fear, and he couldn't help but swear. I saw that the number above had arrived. As a ninja, Biwajozo had no habit of saving money. When he was in the Mist Village, he used all the money he earned from completing missions to buy shurikens and explosive tags. As a result, he was still poor after being a ninja for so many years, so when Xiao tried to sell him weapons, he refused to accept them. It wasn't because the weapons were too evil, but because he had no money at all. He only had 10,000 taels of cash on him now, which he had picked up outside last time. Looking at the numbers jumping on the instrument, he felt heartbroken. This was all money wasted. Although this was not his money, he still felt very sad. He had never made so much money in his life. Zhang subconsciously looked at the beheading sword behind him, wondering how much the sword would sell for from the boss. Ding ding ding, the numbers on the instrument kept jumping, and finally stopped increasing after reaching 5,000. As the instrument made sounds, the green liquid in the treatment chamber began to be gradually drawn out, and Nagato's eyes, which had been closed, quietly opened at this time. Click, a soft sound came from inside the treatment cabin. Nagato gently pushed the door, and the door of the treatment cabin slowly opened. Nagato walked out of the treatment cabin. He felt the changes in his body and a look of surprise appeared on his face. At this time, Nagato is no longer the skinny and sickly man he used to be. His body has fully recovered to its peak condition and is even healthier than before. What surprised him even more was that his legs, which had been broken for a long time, miraculously recovered as if they had never been injured. Nagato took a step forward, feeling the sensation of his feet touching the ground, his face filled with excitement. For so many years, he had been staying in that dark room, unable to move. Now, he can finally stand up again and walk freely. He had never dared to think about the wish of standing up again before, but now it has become a reality. Now he no longer needs pain 6 paths. Seeing Nagato's current appearance, the most excited person present was Konan. Konan excitedly ran to Nagato and asked in a trembling voice, "Nagato, is your body finally healed?" As he spoke, Konan's eyes gradually became moist, and a few crystal tears slid down his cheeks. Nagato looked at Konan, who was crying, and he subconsciously reached out his hand. Gently wiping away the tears from Konan's eyes, he replied, "Yeah, it's healed." Nagato's action made Konan's face flush instantly. She lowered her head shyly and subconsciously took a step back. Nagato suddenly realized that his behavior just now might be inappropriate and seemed a little at a loss. They looked at each other, then quickly looked away, as if they didn't know how to break the situation. Just then, Xiao walked forward and coughed twice to attract the attention of the two. He stood in front of the treatment cabin, pointed at the number displayed on it, and said with a smile, "You two, the total cost of this treatment is 10 million taels. Please pay." Xiao's words broke the awkward atmosphere between the two, and Nagato and Konan both came back to their senses. Nagato hurriedly took out 2 scrolls filled with money from his body and handed them to Xiao. Xiao took the money and checked it carefully to confirm that it was correct, then nodded with satisfaction. He leaned close to Nagato's ear and whispered in a teasing tone, "Do you like this girl?" Nagato blushed instantly when he heard that. "No. No." Xiao was immediately amused when he saw Nagato's expression. He patted Nagato on the shoulder and said cheerfully, "You know whether you have done it or not." "Boss, we're leaving first," Nagato said as he fled from the store. "It's great to be young." Xiao sighed. Although he is less than 20 years old in this body, he lived to be 20 years old in his previous life. The 2 lives added up to 40 years old, so he can still feel a little emotional. Although Konan was curious about what the boss said to Nagato, she hurriedly followed him when she saw Nagato leave. When the Red Sand Scorpion saw the 2 people leaving, he also said to Xiao, "Boss, I am leaving too." Having said that, he turned and left. He couldn't wait to experience his new body. Zhang hurriedly shouted, "Wait for me." Then he ran out. Zhang has already made up his mind. From now on, he will buy the Blood Demon Sword even if he has to save money. Although he didn't dare to ask Xiao about the specific price, he knew that it was definitely not cheap, and it would start at least tens of millions. After all, nothing in Xiao is cheap. Xiao walked to the door and shouted at the backs of the people leaving, "You must come back often." Chapter 24. Rain Shinobi Village. After Nagato and his friends left the store, they rushed back to Rain Shinobi Village. Where are Kakuzu and Orochimaru? Nagato wondered, looking at the empty base. Hearing this, several people shook their heads to indicate that they didn't know. "Ha ha ha, I didn't expect you to be so fast, Orochimaru. You were able to catch up with that guy even though he ran so far away." Just then, Kakuzu's voice came from outside the door. Hearing the sound, Nagato and others subconsciously looked towards the door. "Haha, your earth grudge is not bad either." The 2 of them walked in arm and found that everyone was staring at them. Orochimaru recognized Nagato at the first sight. Wasn't this the child that Jiraiya adopted on the battlefield? Orochimaru understood instantly, but he did not mention what happened back then. Orochimaru licked his lips, is this what the leader really looks like? Kakuzu stared at Nagato with curiosity. He didn't expect that the leader looked like a pretty boy. Nagato nodded expressionlessly and said calmly, "Since you are here, I will explain to you the next plan of the Akatsuki organization. We need to raise 20 billion as soon as possible." Hearing this, Kakuzu's eyes widened, his face full of shock, and he couldn't help but exclaimed, 20 billion. He couldn't believe his ears. If he could really make so much money, he would be extremely happy. Nagato nodded slightly and answered affirmatively, "Yes, we need enough funds to buy weapons from the boss to achieve peace in the ninja world." He then informed everyone present in detail of the enormous power of the nuclear bomb. After listening to Nagato's description, several people showed expressions of surprise and disbelief. They had never imagined that there were such powerful and terrifying weapons in this world. Can a ninja village really be destroyed in an instant? A hint of excitement and curiosity flashed in Orochimaru's eyes, and he developed a strong interest in nuclear weapons. Although he is now obsessed with cultivating immortals, the scientific madman in his heart has not changed. He began to wonder if he could develop such a powerful weapon. After all, when Orochimaru disassembled and studied the gun he had purchased from young Xiao, he was surprised to find that its principle was so simple and easy to understand. If he had time, he would definitely be able to make it according to the parts. Now, he was very curious about the nuclear weapons that Nagato mentioned. Orochimaru thought that when he bought it, he would have to take it apart and study it. With his intelligence, it didn't seem that difficult for him to develop a nuclear bomb. He licked his lips excitedly, already imagining the scene of himself developing a nuclear bomb. After all, what I developed myself was different from what Young Xiao bought, so it was better to master the technology in my own hands. If Young Xiao knew what Orochimaru was thinking at this moment, he would definitely make a sharp explosion. Nuclear bombs are not something that can be dismantled. When the time comes, Orochimaru will secretly dismantle the nuclear bomb, and the entire Rain Shinobi village will ascend to heaven with him. So, do you have any way to make money quickly? Nagato looked at everyone present and asked expectantly. Everyone looked at each other, thinking about ways to make money. After all, each of them was short of money. Everyone is rapidly searching through possibilities in their minds, trying to find a way to quickly accumulate wealth. Kakuzu's eyes suddenly lit up, and he said excitedly, "I think our Akatsuki organization can be changed into a mercenary organization, so that we can accept commissions, we can make money quickly. We can first build up our reputation in various bounty agencies, and then naturally someone will come to us to issue tasks." Kakuzu was worthy of being the best at making money in the Akatsuki organization. His suggestion resonated with everyone and everyone agreed. Biwajozo praised, "Kakuzu, you really have a good business sense." Nagato nodded in agreement. Kakuzu's plan is feasible. When the time comes, half of the commission from completing the mission will be kept as funds for the organization to purchase nuclear weapons. Everyone nodded, expressing their understanding and support for Nagato's decision. They understood that only by working together can the organization's goals be achieved. Nagato continued, "The organization is currently short of manpower, so I hope that while you are carrying out your mission, you will keep an eye out for candidates who are suitable to join the organization. If you come across someone with strength and potential, you can consider inviting them to join the Akatsuki organization." Understood. Everyone agreed. Then, from now on, let the reputation of Akatsuki resound throughout the bounty hunting world. Nagato shouted excitedly. It feels quite passionate. Scorpion of the Red Sand raised the corner of his mouth and said softly. Biwajozang was shaking with excitement, with greed flashing in his eyes. He finally had a way to make money. He had already begun to imagine the scene in which he would make money in the future and obtain the Blood Demon Blade. Kakuzu took out a few maps and handed them to everyone. All the gold exchange offices in the ninja world are marked on them. I believe that with your abilities, you can definitely complete the task 100% and make the Akatsuki organization famous. Kakuzu was very excited. He actually had a dream, which was to join a mercenary organization, but due to various factors, his dream was shattered. But now his hope has been rekindled. He believes that with their strength, Akatsuki will soon become the strongest mercenary organization in the ninja world. Nagato took the map, studied it carefully, and nodded with satisfaction. Then we will assign tasks according to the map, and each person will be responsible for one country. I'm going to the Fire Nation. Orochimaru said without hesitation. Then I'll go to the Kingdom of Wind. I haven't been back for a long time. Scorpion of the Red Sand fell into memories, with a hint of sadness in his tone. Then I'll go to the land of water. Biwajozo said. He hadn't been back for a long time and wondered how many of his former colleagues were still alive. Konan, you go to the land of earth, and I'll go to the land of lightning. Nagato arranged the tasks in an orderly manner. Konan nodded silently, and then her body suddenly turned into countless pieces of paper and flew out of the base. Let's go. Nagato said and ran out. Everyone left the base. Only Kakuzu was left standing alone in the wind, looking disheveled. He looked at the room where he was the only one left and couldn't help but complain, then where should I go? Kakuzu quickly chased after him. He didn't know where he was going, so he thought he could just find someone to follow him. Biwajozo looked at Kakuzu, who was following him, and asked curiously, Kakuzu, why are you following me? I heard that you are a traitor from the land of water. I was afraid that if you went back alone, your identity would be accidentally exposed and you would be beaten to death. Kakuzu said calmly. Thank you so much, Kakuzu. Biwajozo said gratefully. He felt that Kakuzu was right, based on his identity as a traitor ninja and the beheading sword in his hand. If he was accidentally discovered, that group of people would definitely try to seize his beheading sword at all costs. Kakuzu breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that he had successfully fooled the person. Chapter 25. The Fire Nation. On his way to the gold exchange, Orochimaru happened to pass by Konoha village. He looked at the village in the distance and murmured, "It's been a while since I've been back to the village. I wonder if there have been any changes in the village during the time I was away." With this in mind, Orochimaru decided to sneak in and take a look. As one of the representatives of Konoha's prostitution, gambling, and drug-related crimes, it was as easy for him to sneak into the village as drinking water. It was already evening and there were few pedestrians on the street. Orochimaru walked in the middle of the street without hesitation, and his figure was particularly eye-catching. Suddenly, the sound of children playing happily in the distance attracted Orochimaru's attention. Curious, he walked in the direction of the sound and saw several children playing happily, seemingly unaware that night was about to fall. Orochimaru couldn't help but lick his lips and sighed, "It seems that the security situation in the village has improved a lot since I left." This reminds Orochimaru of his days in the village, when he often used children as human test subjects. During those days, the children in the village were so scared that they hid at home and dared not go out easily. This gave Orochimaru a headache, because he couldn't find any experimental questions to do the experiment. Why was my experiment suddenly discovered when it was about to succeed? Orochimaru frowned and thought. Suddenly, another person appeared in Orochimaru's mind, Shimura Dans. Because Shimura Dans secretly supported his experiments, Shimura Dans was the only one in Konoha who knew that he was doing human experiments. Shimura Dans secretly reached a cooperation with Orochimaru, and not long after, when the experiment was about to succeed, Orochimaru was suddenly exposed. Orochimaru had no choice but to defect from Konoha, but nothing happened to Shimura Dans. Thinking of this, Orochimaru's eyes turned vicious. He guessed that his exposure was definitely related to Shimura Dans. He decided that he had to find a time to kill Shimura Dans. Shimura Dans, who was far away at the root, suddenly sneezed. Returning to the present, Orochimaru looked at the children in front of him, feeling a strong desire in his heart. He thought of past experiments, those studies that had been just one step away from success. If he could get these children, perhaps he could start the experiments again. Orochimaru's eyes became hot, he stared at the children, as if he saw the scene of a successful experiment. He couldn't help but take a step forward, ready to take them away, but quickly hesitated and retracted his foot. He suddenly realized that there was now a new way to achieve immortality that no longer required relying on human experiments. The thought gave him pause, and his desire for the children faded. Orochimaru took one last look at the children, then turned and walked away. The children were still playing carefree, unaware that they had just passed by a Shinigami. Ahead was the commercial district, crowded with people, and Orochimaru knew very well that he could not show his true face to anyone. So, he used the disguise technique he learned from the Chongshengju to cleverly change his appearance. After a long day of running around, Orochimaru felt his stomach growling with hunger. Just then, a ramen shop called Ichiraku appeared in front of him. He walked into the shop without hesitation, ready to enjoy a bowl of steaming hot ramen. After ordering a bowl of noodles, he found a seat by the window and sat down, quietly looking at the scenery outside the window. Just then, several people with round fan patterns printed on their backs walked into the store. Their appearance caused a commotion. The originally noisy store suddenly became silent after the few people came in. "Boss, give me 4 bowls of tonkatsu ramen," one of them said. "Okay." Uncle Ichiraku responded with a smile. The ramen was soon ready, and several Uchiha people carried the steaming noodles to the table near Orochimaru, sat down, and began to eat and chat. "Konoha has really been invaded by thieves recently," an Uchiha whispered. "Yeah, I heard about it too. It seems like he's still committing crimes repeatedly." "That's right. I heard that the Hyuga clan's treasury was robbed last night. The Hyuga clan leader even went to the Hokage to complain." "Ha ha ha, can't his Hyuga clans be a cook and be able to see through things? How come the clan treasury was stolen?" Orochimaru heard several people talking and looked over curiously. "In the past few days, the property of several families has been stolen, causing panic in the village. Eat quickly, our police force will be busy later." At this moment, an Uchiha ran in. Seeing that several people were still leisurely eating ramen, he was furious. "Stop eating! The clan's treasury has been stolen. Chief Fugaku is summoning all the clan members to go back and join forces with other clans to search for the thief overnight." Upon hearing this, the people who were eating noodles threw their money on the table and hurriedly got up and left. "FK, someone stole my Uchiha's money." The leader left the ramen restaurant cursing. After the Uchiha people left, the originally quiet store suddenly became buzzing with discussion. "I didn't expect the Uchiha clan was also robbed. What's the big deal? After all, the Hokage-sama was stolen, and these big families will definitely be stolen too. I heard that they had strengthened their defenses before, but now it's still been stolen. Haha, this really made me laugh to death." Orochimaru heard the discussions among the people and felt like he had caught something big. He listened to everyone's discussion with great interest. "It's really interesting, even the teacher's money was stolen." Land of the Uchiha tribe. Uchiha Fugaku looked at the empty room, anger blazing in his eyes. This room should have been filled with money, but he just left to have a meal. The money in the room disappeared in an instant. Who on earth could have taken away so much money in such a short time? Uchiha Fugaku roared. The 3 megatama in his eyes suddenly started to spin non-stop, and eventually connected together to form a pattern. "A hole. I'm going to find you today even if I have to dig deep into the ground." Fugaku roared. He has already joined forces with the patriarchs of other families. Even if he has to turn Konoha upside down tonight, he will find the thief. Soon, the Hyuga, the Inoshika clans, and even the third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo followed. "Hokage, heads of all the major families, we must unite together tonight and must catch this thief of Konoha." Uchiha Fugaku shouted. Every family present had been visited by the thief, so they all hated him to the core. "Chief Fugaku, I will send Anbu to help you." Seeing that the Hokage had spoken, other families responded. "My Hyuga clan will use all our strength to help Chief Fugaku." "So are we, Inoshika Ch." In this way, a massive operation to catch thieves was quickly launched in Konoha village. Anyone with suspicious behavior was arrested by people from the major families. Orochimaru realized that the situation was not right and had already slipped out of the village. He looked back at the brightly lit Konoha village in the distance and said with emotion, "Who on earth could have done this?" If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.